Welcome everyone, back to Lido History. My name's Adam, as always, and today we're playing Blackhaven, a walking simulator developed by Dr. James Coltrane, and Historiated Games that explores heritage and forgotten histories through a fictional American Revolution heritage site, and our job as an intern there. It's going to be a great time. I am super excited to dive into this, see what I think it does well, what it doesn't. Obvious disclaimer, I am not a specialist in the American Revolution, and I am very obviously white. So, in terms of the experience of us playing as a black woman working at a heritage site, I am not going to critique the game on that. The game does a better job than I do at exploring that. We're just looking at this from a design perspective and then enjoying the creativity on display and the super useful commentary on whose histories are getting left out of our heritage sites. So, as always, if you miss any of the stream on Twitch, it will be uploaded to YouTube eventually. There's a bunch of VODs coming out today and tomorrow. It'll be up soon. And if you're watching it on YouTube, do consider coming over and joining us live on Twitch. I stream 3 times a week, so we get plenty of stuff, plenty of interesting and diverse games that we get to explore. Also, if you want to support the channel, make sure as you enjoy this, you follow or subscribe, and consider supporting us on Patreon, patreon.com/LudoHistory. Your support is, as always, greatly appreciated. And with that, let's hop into the game here. It's loading. Oh, this game's gonna be great. Actually, this game I think owes a lot to things like, say, was it Gone Home? Is probably the biggest example. Though one could say, like, I think Dear Esther is probably a bit similar. Do you understand why I wanted you all to see the burb? Can we get a bird in the chat? Not so much Firewatch, right? Firewatch does something a bit different. But right, Gone Home is probably the clearest example where you are walking through a space, exploring its history. We've got multiple types of burbs in the chat. We appreciate you. Blackhaven. Quickly
Yes, Mom,
flashbacks to
I'm gonna be
training
here all
videos?
by
Yep.
myself. Yeah, because they're closed for Flag Day. I don't know if they're going to be closed for MLK Day too. We start the earliest of any of the HBCUs. I'm never going to be here for that anyways. Plus, I don't know if I'm even going to want to be here. I might just stay in Greece. Psh, yes, you would too. Come visit me. Yeah, all I do is answer the phones. This is supposed to be a marketing internship, but I haven't even done anything on the website yet. No, I don't know how to make a website yet, but neither do they. I'll get to that in spring semester, after I get back from Greece.
We'll
Alright,
explain
Mom,
after the
I gotta
cutscene
go.
ends.
You know how strict they are about being on the phone, and I am a model employee who's getting an outstanding recommendation. Okay, Mom, love you too. Bye.
So, there was a couple of references there that potentially need explaining to our European audience. HBCU refers to historically black colleges and universities.
Okay,
Something
better go check my email and get started.
which are a thing in the US. And it's just good to keep in mind. The other thing, Flag Day, is June 14th? Yeah, it'll be June 14th in 2022. I believe it's set to a specific day. But yeah, it's when the United States adopted its current design of flag. So, we are at Blackhaven Hall Historical Society. Which, to be honest, this looks exactly like so many. This looks so many sort of like local museums up here in New England. It looks exactly like this. The little diorama in the center, teeny tiny gift shop, single room exhibit over here, and then the actual site behind it. This is so familiar. This is all so familiar. The only thing I don't like is that the archive is in an outer room. Feels bad. Hello? I'm all alone here. Blackhaven ablaze. How one fiery night changed the course of the American Revolution. Finally, a proper treatment of a forgotten British attack on a private American home. Gripping prose guides readers minute by thrilling minute. No author but Johnson could bring us this harrowing tale of American courage. Uh-huh. By Linda Harwood. Blackhaven Historical Society. The Harwoods of Blackhaven, the ingenuity and elegance of a truly American family. By David Reynolds. Life in colonial Virginia was never easy. By the end of the 18th century, the pressure amongst Virginia's elites to distinguish themselves could be enough to tear a household apart. But for the Harwoods of Blackhaven Hall, family meant something. In this sweeping history, David Reynolds recounts the story of love and commitment from Thomas and Sarah's intense and private romance to their work raising cultured daughters of the Enlightenment. The Harwoods persevered their unbreakable bonds without sacrificing style. This is painful. This is distressingly accurate. Right? I mean, if you're looking for historical material accuracy, I'd say this building was probably built circa 2008. And it's exactly like every heritage site from like the late not early 2000s. And they're only just barely starting to change with like COVID forcing changes. Replica reclaimed punch tin Farmer Joe lantern for $80. Yep, that checks out too. This is painful. It's too familiar. I think I've been here before. And we get the little diorama. Thank you. The stables are there. The library wing is right there. Main house is right there. Yup. Ballroom. Servants' quarters being way out here. Yup. Kitchen being the side building. That's correct. Laundry, smokehouse, and dovecote. Yeah. Yup. This is perfect. This is exactly right. Blackhaven Hall throughout the centuries. Heads of the Harwood family, directors of the Historical Society. Nathaniel Harwood, Blackhaven Plantation founded 1640. Christopher Harwood, 1658. Samuel Harwood, 1713. Thomas Harwood signs the draft of the Declaration of Independence as an alternate delegate from Virginia, 1776. British raiders burned Blackhaven Hall during the Battle of Blackhaven, 1781. Blackhaven Hall's art and furnishings are saved reputedly by a man named Farmer Joe. Timothy Harwood, Frederick Harwood, heir to Blackhaven, Gideon Harwood, is killed in action fighting bravely in the Civil War, 1864. Who wants to bet that Gideon Harwood was on the Confederate side fighting bravely in the Civil War? Anna Harwood, Blackhaven Ladies Remember Society, founded by Anna Harwood, widow of former Blackhaven heir Gideon Harwood. Blackhaven Historical Society, founded by Benjamin Harwood, first museum building constructed. Lewis Harwood, Charles Harwood, Thomas Harwood III. New museum, gallery, and archives completed after So 1978 that the building was made. And then 2019, glass restoration of Blackhaven Hall completed. That's a glass overlay onto the building. As our enduring legacy continues into its 4th century, we want to extend our deepest welcome to every guest of the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society. We hope you enjoy the same lasting impact the Harwood family has had on all of Virginia. Thomas Harwood III, CEO, Hardcore Industries, 11th head of Blackhaven and Oakmont, and Helen Morris, 6th director of the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society. This is ridiculously accurate.
Better check my email before looking around.
Fine. I'm going to keep looking around, though. Visit Oakmont. Don't forget to visit historic Oakmont Plantation, home of Minister, financial wizard, and agricultural innovator William Harwood. A great American legacy continues as this 19th century antebellum architect. Yep. And honor the noble sacrifices made in the defense of freedom. We're in Williamsburg.
Good morning, Thomas. I see you up there looking down at me.
Badge. It me. Fantastic. The flyer. Oh, good. We're studying abroad in Greece. Love to see it. Honestly, excellent choice. I think it's time to check our email.
All right, Helen, what you got for me this morning?
Great question. It's Flag Day again. Helen Morris. Oh. Hold up. How does this work? There we go. Hi everyone, once again it's time for our biggest blowout bash of the year, celebrating Flag Day in style with all our Blackhaven family. Because the 4th of July is always one of our biggest visitor days of the year, the Historical Society chose another patriotic summer to show our appreciation to all of you. Once again we'll be celebrating at the Tidewater Country Club just off Highway 60 past the interchange. We'll be grilling Blackhaven style with catering provided by the club, an open bar, ! And plenty of festive activities. Garden party attire is expected, ladies in white, men in navy, but everyone should bring their most creative star-striped accessories. Since most of you are members of the club already, also don't forget to bring your swim trunks and you can see Phil or Debbie if you want to set up tea times before or after lunch. We'll see every last one of you and families all there starting at 11 a.m. to wave our star-spangled banners for the US of A. Helen. Wolfie, I did twice. I spent one term in undergrad in London and another in Rabat, Morocco. So, yes. Dear Kendra, let me formally congratulate you on starting on your first day at the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society. You should be very proud of yourself to have received this opportunity. I'll be coming by first thing in the morning to go over the basics and give you the tour, but I also want to pass around some ground rules when you're at the reception. Please make sure you're on the seats, visible and smiling, all shift except for your scheduled breaks. Answer every call to the desk with good morning or afternoon. Thanks for calling Blackhaven Hall. This is Kendra speaking. How may I help you? Remember, you're going to be the first point of contact for our guests. Always remain in a dignified tone and no slang. A reminder, our dress code is business casual, so avoid any loud colors accessory and make sure to keep hair neat. You're technically consenting to be filmed by our cameras throughout the day, but I wouldn't fret about it. Bill only even looks at those if there's an irregularity with door entries and exits. Always follow directions closely. We run a tight ship and don't want to have to ask twice. Oh boy. To Kendra, thank you again for holding down the fort today. Just want to... Oh yeah, when is this sent in? That was sent Friday. Gotcha. This is Monday morning. Thank you again for holding down the fort today. Just want to pass along your special assignment. I really hope you can get through all these until you have a place to yourself with no visitors. I heard from our consultants that most of the new apps have completed uploading on the digital guide devices. I'd like you to test the gallery quiz app and make sure you can get through without any issue. It'll also be good for you to brush about the museum collections. The new audio tour files should also be uploaded. Why don't you try to go up to the bakehouse and test all those out. Make sure to listen to the end of each and let me know if you notice anything odd. I told Megan to activate your badge for the house for today, even though it's otherwise locked up. If you can get both of those done before lunch in the afternoon, I'd like for you to continue your document scanning in the archives, so we maybe start getting some of our stuff up on the website. Maybe you'll be able to help us with with the coding. Can you hit the following folders? I pulled the boxes for each and left them out in the archives for you. Thomas Harwood Papers, folder 18, Anna Harwood Papers, folder 9, Archaeological Reports, folder 6. Make sure you leaf through each of the pages before scanning to make sure they're all legible, and please don't skip any. I'll let the archive key for you at the front desk. When you finish, please return to the top desk drawer in my office. Your badge won't open any of the doors in the office wing after 5 p.m., so it's very important to get returned before then. Also, security cameras will be on today, so don't get any wild ideas. We're all looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Between you and me, you're really the lucky one for not having to listen to our donors go on and on at the picnic. Thanks a bunch, Helen. Wow. Wait, are they still using XP? Wait, hold up. Hang on. Yep, thank you.
Alright, I'll start by testing the gallery quiz.
Fine. Fine. I really need to check.
Let me grab a charged digital tour guide.
I know what it is, thank you. They're using Windows XP. I'm so proud of them. Oh. Oh, this is 100% bullshit. This is incredibly accurate bullshit. Big fan. I think that was probably dead. Oh, no,
Okay,
we're good.
got it turned on.
We're
How
good.
much did they pay to get their logo on here?
Probably quite a bit. Select one.
Let me get my headphones.
Alright. Drawer, open. What's in here? Just a bunch of tour manuals, boo. Actually, where are my headphones? Also, why are we wearing headphones? We're the only ones in here. I don't see no headphones over here. Oh, they're right there. Okay, I'm blind.
To
It's
the
me.
gallery. Let's get this quiz going.
Oh yeah, there is so much going on here. This the gallery? No, that's the tour. Gallery! Get thyself over here. This is so great. Big, oh boy.
Gallery quiz. Got it. Oh, how beige.
Oh, uh-huh.
Okay. Scan the object that answers the question.
Who added?
First one. Let's get this.
Uh-huh. Okay. Portrait of Samuel Harwood. Hey, look at that. Humble beginnings, hard work, and the American dream. Story begins with American initiative and ingenuity. In 1645, Nathaniel Harwood smartly purchased a group of underperforming farms after a surprise attack by... Okay. After a surprise attack by roving Indians massacred many of their owners, he called his new estate Blackhaven, likely after a shady inlet near the riverbank, but possibly because the farm had already played host to so many dark events. 1697, Nathaniel made Blackhaven's lands more productive than ever, and in 1697 his son Christopher built a modest brick house in which he named Blackhaven Hall. Christopher adopted the swan as the symbol of Blackhaven, remembering the noble birds that once swam in the nearby pond during his childhood. Blackhaven rose to true greatness under the visionary Samuel Harwood, who labored to greatly expand the plantation's workforce, earning a sizable fortune for his efforts. In 1734 he expanded Blackhaven Hall into a proper mansion with an imposing columned facade and richly carved interior. Now known as one of Virginia's finest homes, Blackhaven would attain its final grandeur under the great patriot Thomas Harwood, who added 2 flanking halls in 1770. On the south end, an edifying library for his massive book collection, and to the north, a lively ballroom for his beloved wife, Sarah. Yes. Uh-huh. 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 Indians is extreme. There's a reason why I stopped.
Literally the first painting. Not too tough so far.
Right.
Which one is Sarah again? Is she the kid?
No, she's not the kid. She's his. Well, she's Thomas's wife. Thomas Harwood, America's forgotten founding father. Ooh. Oh no. They found my weakness. They found my weakness. I love nothing more than old archival letters and trying to look over them and try and read them. This is targeted at me specifically. But yeah, so y'all were already pointing out some nice Yeah, this one's a ledger. This one's clearly a ledger. But it's these letters that I'm like, I want to read the shiny. But yes, this is, you guys are already picking up on some of the extremely careful phrasings going on. Right? Because the community expects certain things, and in a specifically American context, we got some issues of, like, the head of the institution is a direct descendant, right? Not Helen, but the other guy. It was Thomas Harwood III. Direct descendant of these, and so they're carefully eliding several things. Now, where is the Harwood family portrait? Give me... Because it's clearly one of these four. But, there it is.
Oh, hey there.
Oh, hey there.
I wonder if this is the first time it's ever been just you and another black girl here. What stories must you have about these people?
Oh, hey there. Ain't that the question? 1780. Thomas Harwood, Elizabeth Harwood, Eleanora Harwood, Isaac Harwood, Sarah Harwood, unknown servant. Yes. Definitely. Indubitably. Yep.
For when you want to sit up really straight.
There's gonna be a time. There's gonna be a time by the end of this.
Servants, huh?
Yep. Definitely servants. Mahogany. Side chair. Black walnut. Desk and bookcase. Walnut. I want this desk. I want this desk though. I know the whole space is problematic, but I really want that desk. Teapot, excavated from servants' quarters at Blackhaven Hall Porcelain. Archaeologists at Blackhaven were stunned when they unearthed this broken but complete teapot while digging at the site of the servants' quarters. Far too fine for the simple concerns of staff. Researchers eventually determined it belonged to the porcelain collections already on display in this gallery. Nope. Buddy, you can be certain how the teapot got so far away from its rightful owners, but one theory suggests a clumsy servant may have broken it and hidden away to avoid taking responsibility. Totally what's going on there. Yep.
I like this better than the unbroken ones. I bet there was more to this story.
Just a bit. Just a bit.
So aside from anything these people made up?
Oh yeah, there's a healthy dose of the historical society made stuff up. What is the oldest fictional publication in the gallery? Gardner's Calendar. The works of Mr. William Shakespeare. The Architecture of Andrea Palladio. And The Elements of Astronomy by David Gregory. Uh-huh. Tinkering with Scientific. A Camera Obscura. God, so much stuff. So much stuff here. I mean, I'm going to guess that it's Shakespeare. Because we seem to be at the end of the gallery already. Oh good, continue. New discoveries about the daily life of colonial Americans are being made every day by the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society. In addition to our research programs that are collecting the Harwood family paper, the Society has sponsored multiple archaeological digs over the years. Below are just a few of the wide variety of recovered artifacts that Blackhaven's residents gave for us to appreciate today. Yeah, yeah. We refuse to let our heritage disappear. Ain't that a question? Uh-huh. Passed away in 1782. The wife Sarah moved herself and the children to Maryland, and eventually... Mm-hmm. Yeah, Thomas Harwood was a fierce supporter of individual liberty and the promise of American dream. His love of English culture initially left him reluctant to support the Massachusetts rebels, but when Governor Dunmore threatened freedom and local property rights in Virginia, Thomas became an enthusiastic revolutionary, even paying to publish his pamphlet Our Present Crisis, where he penned his most famous phrase, "Without property, no man lives free." Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh, good. A popular Blackhaven legend tells of Farmer Joe, a loyal field hand who rushed back into the burning house to retrieve his treasures, dragging them one by one out onto the lawn, until the smoke was too thick to continue. Historians have debated the authenticity of this story for decades, and the first mention of Farmer Joe only appears in the memoir of Rebecca Harwood, written shortly before the Civil War. 18th century records do list one worker, a Scotch-Irish immigrant named Joseph Murphy, on the Blackhaven payroll, who might have indeed contributed to the legend of Farmer Joe. In the years since, Farmer Joe has attained the mythic status as a folk hero, and is usually pictured defiantly brandishing a pitchfork and a lantern. Yeah, I'm gonna just gonna quick scan Shakespeare here, because I'm pretty sure... Othello.
Oh, Othello. It's like ninth grade all over again.
Sure is.
Except Miss Hayes isn't looking right at me asking if anyone understands where Othello is coming from.
Yep.
He's made up, right? So doesn't that mean all of them? Or none of them?
Yes, you can get a look at the sword, Nero. But yeah, this is... So yeah. 1781, as Magistressa points out, is when the British Crown offers to free all enslaved people who joined the cause of Great Britain in the American Revolution. Governor Dunmore of Virginia is one of the ones who helped push that fairly broadly. This alienated a lot of people among the elite whites, plantation owners of the South, and helped contribute to them joining the rebellion. So, by threatening freedom and local property rights, it means using military force to encourage enslaved people to revolt with promises of their freedom. Yeah, men only though. I suppose that part, in the 18th century military context, that part shouldn't go without saying, but I did kind of let that go without saying. So thank you for pointing that out, Magistressa. Yep, male enslaved people. Oh yeah, Magistressa, have you been to the Laura Ingalls Wilder Museum in South Dakota, just across the border? This is a dead ringer for that. A punched tin lantern cover the side of the large tobacco barn. This lantern has a treasured place in the Harwood family lore, as it was rumored for many decades to have been the one carried by the folk hero Farmer Joe during the Battle of Blackhaven. Its actual origins are unclear, as records show it was first discovered sitting in an old barn on the property in the late 19th century. Also, unlike the glass lanterns often depicted in popular images of Farmer Joe, punched tin lanterns were designed primarily to protect a lit candle from the wind while outdoors, rather than to provide one with illumination.
Somehow, this doesn't
Gibbs-
seem like it'd be very bright.
Yeah, Gibbs Farm instead.
This one has got to be easy.
Gee, I wonder if it's the weather vane. What?
This is not doing it for me. No bald eagle available? Although Swans definitely
I-
did some messed up stuff in mythology, says my A+ in that class.
See, this is the way. An A+ in mythology?
This is a real bougie way of saying fake.
Real sure is. Yep. The only modern reproduction. I mean, that, but. Our present crisis considerations on the seizures of rifle property by a simple farmer and member of the House of Burgesses, Williamsburg, printed by our boy. Yeah. Yeah, rifle property, should be enslaved people here. That's actually a good question. They haven't actually said what's the only reproduction.
This lets you see all the stuff you already got, only lower quality.
So, Magistress, they said the
Watch out, guests, we got a math question.
the deal with Farmer Joe is that supposedly he was a farmhand that during the burning of Blackhaven Hall in 1781 ran in and out retrieving objects for a while. And yeah. I suspect that it is a not accident here that they are like, oh yeah, they're assuming that it's Scotch-Irish Joseph Murphy, who could easily be indentured, so still not free. Still not a free farm laborer in all likelihood. But notably, in the 19th century, does suggest, notably white. Wolfie. Absolutely. The uncomfortableness of having a black woman as the intern walking through and commenting on this gallery space. Absolutely. 1775, 1727, 1701. I want to say it's the 1775 ones here, but we can check that for sure. Elizabeth Harwood was... Hang on. Elizabeth Harwood here. Ah, that doesn't give ages. Boo. Oh, yeah. Right. I mean, I'm just gonna scan the most recent ones. Hooray.
Are we sure one of these didn't burn down Blackhaven?
What did Thomas Harwood write in response to the Virginia governor? I will say, I genuinely adore
Is he saying
this idea
nobody
of
that
this
needs
gallery
to be
quiz. Yes.
I was gonna be like the couch, but we already did that one. Clearly the donation bid. Alright, Parisian, go get some rest. But, right, as a heritage site, I love the idea of a small, relatively open gallery space, including this sort of gallery quiz. This doesn't scale up with an exhibition at all, but in in a larger museum exhibition, but in a really, realistically, what? One room? Two room? In what is realistically a 2-room gallery, this is kind of the perfect size
for this sort of quiz as a way of sort of driving actual engagement. Especially if you attach, like, junior ranger prizes, basically. Right. We can use... I could use, like, national parks as the good example here. Right, there are junior ranger programs, which often are in exhibitions that at least partially use exhibitions an awful lot like this, but natural history instead of social history. Is there, like, an ashtray here? Those are just bowls. Those are just dishes. Alright, Blues, we'll be here for a while. I'm hoping to get through most of this game. I don't know how long it is, but we're going to try and get through most of it. So, we will be here. But yeah, right, this is a super good way to use the heritage site. And to kind of leverage the space in a way that actually drives engagement. And by driving engagement, that drives, potentially, theoretically, learning something about it. Because at least you have to read the labels in order to answer the things, though. I'm noticing that there's not a pipe here. There's not farm implements here. Unless I'm missing stuff. But yeah, right, you just give out, like, little stamp books or a teeny tiny prize at the end. And it's completely meaningless, right? You can say, like, a junior ranger of Blackhaven Hall, and it's a little plastic badge that's a replica of something. There they are. Found them.
Where are the Blackhaven vapes at?
You did
Yes, I've won
absolutely nothing.
This is why I'm
Fix
learning
that.
stuff today.
Fix
Now I'm
that.
about to go check this off my list for Helen.
Right? Big thing. Fix that absolutely nothing. Because otherwise it's... Right, doing it for the fun is one thing, but you're gonna get more people to grab it if you did it. And by the way, as a gallery, that was a super, like, basic modern one, but also a really clean one. Right? Setting aside the content...
off my list at reception.
Thank you. Setting aside the content of the space... Oh. Lag. The quality of the design... They poured some serious cash into that. They absolutely... poured some significant amount of cash and skill into making that, and it shows. That was a really well-designed gallery. Now, we are primed, right? We're primed by knowing a little bit about this game, and by who our player character is, to be suspicious of it, and to spot all the holes in the story. But that was really good. That was a really well-built gallery, even though it's one that is missing a lot of stuff.
Quiz is done. Literally the first person to pass. Time
Hooray.
to head outside and get that audio tour.
Let's do it. Let's go wander around the space. I believe in us. What? Yeah?
Good morning. Thanks for calling Blackhaven Hall. This is Kendra speaking. How may I help you?
Oh, hi there. I had a question. Is Catherine there? I usually like to talk to Catherine.
I'm sorry, she's not working today.
Well, that's fine. I'm sure you can help me, Sandra. See, the thing is, I have a question about Thomas Harwood's military service. As you know, in 1765, Thomas Harwood was listed as captain of the county militia, who, by all accounts, wore the traditional pewter waistcoat buttons.
Okay.
At a local auction, I have come across a brass button claiming to be from Harwood's unit. So what I need you to tell me is...
Actually, sir, I'm just...
Because what I was thinking was,
Yep.
maybe this button is not from the county militia, but from the county enlistment of U.S. regulars. Because as you know, in Blanchard's, he shows that, wait, actually, the French scouts who were stationed with the U.S. regiment did have brass buttons, and they camped at Blackhaven in 1781. So
It's this guy.
that explains it.
Nirab, you know it.
Wow. Deidre, you have just been a huge help to me. Just absolutely fantastic. I cannot thank you enough. Keep up the good fight. Semper Fi.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Chat, raise your hand if you've known that guy. Semper Fi, Semper Fidelis, forever faithful or always faithful, the motto of the United States Marines. Raises, yep. Yup. Raise, yep. Armchair military historian. Actually, dude obviously knows his stuff, but, right, clearly knows the military history of the area well, and the material culture well, and just managed to be an incredible kind of a jerk about it at the same time. Overly enthusiastic local history buff.
Finally my chance to read up on Blackhaven all by myself.
Yup. No, that guy's a former Marine who's going around, who's now potentially tries to volunteer at Colonial Williamsburg, and is very much an amateur and is super invested in the local regiment and the local history, and he's a Marine, so it's about 50-50 on whether he's actually pretty chill or whether he's secretly a jerk. Certainly a jerk, enough of a jerk to not care about the new person's name, right? Clearly not enough to remember the staff member's name, but, is it the banal kind of awful, or is it the active kind of awful, is kind of the question. The books we can pick up and turn them around, Cairo. We can't actually open them, because holy shit, that would be a pain to code. Fully interactable books would be rough.
Okay, back to start.
Alright, this dude will be here. Every man on the battlefield, but we'll talk him up as if you should obviously know. Yep.
This is totally gonna ruin my Spotify.
Luckily, it's not on your phone. It's on these at least they have touchscreens. Actually, you know, the last museum I worked at that had audio guides, they weren't even touchscreens. They were like OG iPads or iPods.
Don't hate the view. Let's do this.
Also, rest in peace, frame rate.
Welcome to the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society audio tour. I'll be your host throughout your journey into the world of Thomas Harwood, America's forgotten founding father.
That's just so that's
walking towards the house now. We recommend you take the path on the left.
Fine, we'll take the path on the left.
Restart each tour stop at any time by using the touchscreen on your personal digital tour guide.
Interesting that's using a Yankee song in Virginia, though.
Just scan the QR code on another plaque to continue. Your digital device will show you the remaining stops you have left to visit. You can also rescan any plaque to hear its tour stop again. For the moment, let's forget the present and travel back.
Nice reproduction fences. Reproduction revolutionary fences.
You're now walking along the same grand entrance path that guests to Blackhaven took towards the mansion, after passing through the gate of the large brick wall that surrounded this yard.
The number of heritage sites that use these fences is actually very funny to me.
In the 1600s, this land was used mostly by small tobacco farmers who bravely crossed the ocean to start new lives in Virginia.
No.
But on a misty night in 1644, many of those lives ended when a band of treacherous Indians launched a sneak attack, ruthlessly killing even women and children. Still to this day, some say you can see the ghosts of these families trying to find one another, some even without their scalps. These stories didn't intimidate Nathaniel Harwood. He smartly purchased discounted lots and began the story of Blackhaven as we know it. We'll continue our tour at the top of the hill.
Can we get a what the quack in chat, please?
Damn, are they all gonna be that long? Or have ghosts?
Oh boy. Yeah, that that was a pain. No, from the families of dead people. Discounted lots. Because, don't you know, the savvy investor has no fear or common sense and will ruthlessly exploit victims of violence while also being super racist about it. Thank you for the quacks.
I thought the last one was the grand view.
That was the grand view, this is the grand entrance.
You've now reached the grand circle of Blackhaven Hall, where visiting carriages would parade. But in 1781, there were additional buildings. To the left stood the kitchen, built freestanding to keep out smells, smoke, and protect against fires. British cannon, however, were another story. To the right stood the fine stables, housing beloved
Should
animals, including
be somewhere
Eleanor
around
Harwood's
right
legendary
there.
horse, Duchess. Let's take a closer look at the house.
This girl really named her horse Duchess.
Yep. Look, white people gonna white people. Kendra, you know this. Even in 1781, white people gonna white people. Oh no, they in-game restored it using glass. Well, yeah, again,
Oh, I know this
Madrasa.
style.
White
Ionic,
people.
I think. No, Doric. Greece, you didn't hear that.
Before we go in, step back and take in Blackhaven Hall. This house is an example of Georgian architecture, named after British kings, like the tyrant King George III. This style features symmetry, balance, and Greco-Roman influences, but with little ornamentation. Thanks to a state-of-the-art structural glass restoration, Blackhaven now has regained its original form. This striking, award-winning design by international firm JJC Architects
Yep.
duplicates the original porches, peaked roof, and top rows of dormer windows. Completed in 2019 at a cost of over $20 million, the restoration received funding from Harcorp Industries and its CEO, Thomas Harwood III, and is even LEED certified. Let's go inside.
Well, look,
They're really trying to boost the environment on a tobacco plantation.
look. On the one hand, this is incredibly clever, and I love it. On the other hand, y'all are right in pointing out literally every place where this game very consciously and deliberately replicates all the worst habits of American heritage sites. Also, they had cash to burn here. Holy shit. Now, Johnny. That's not necessarily true. Preservationists would not necessarily hate this because, right, the goal of preservation is not necessarily to restore things to their original state. And this is a super, as long as this is done carefully and in a way that preserves the stability and longevity of the original parts of the site, it's not a bad shout, right? Preservation is useful insofar as it is used. If this stabilizes the site and has an educational purpose, I'm literally taking a class on preservation management right now, and I think we'd be like, yeah, this is actually really cool. This is actually really cool. Now, this is risky. You're right, Stefan. As you point out, glass refracts and intensifies light really badly. Right? If you've ever sat in a car window on a hot day, you know this. This does put anything inside the building at increased fire risk, and as a result, increased light damage risk. So say these gonna get fucked up. Even though these are reproduction wing chairs, and so you don't necessarily care, this rug is going to be faded as shit in like 10 years, and these armchairs aren't going to last much longer, because there is so much heat and light coming through these windows. I would also be worried about light damage hurting the mortar in these. Right, light and heat is going to cause this mortar to crumble faster, and so does pose increased preservation risks. Additionally, it seems that little has been done to stabilize the interior, that this is a purely cosmetic on the exterior, which can further exacerbate some of these problems. So what would you be more likely to see here is something else to stabilize these, and then like this glass to show the original underflooring. That's great. So, and right here, potentially, right, these might be okay, because they've got something above it that's blocking the light, and the walls are high enough here. So, it's a good question. There doesn't seem to be a label that says...
We need to get the reception desk up in here.
True. Now.
You're now in what was once one of the finest rooms in all of Virginia, with elaborate oak carvings handcrafted by Blackhaven carpenters. Straight ahead is the grand staircase, matching the exact dimensions of the original. You might be wondering at this point what's under your feet. Below is one of the
cellar.
Blackhaven cellar rooms. You can explore the cellar in a later stop.
This is private, yeah. That's the biggest thing.
Parlors for the Harwood family to relax together. Let's go through the doorway to the left, into the former Harwood dining room, where meals were brought from the kitchen every day.
Alright.
Operating an 18th century household was hard and thankless work, requiring cooking, cleaning, lighting fires, and managing staff. But according to Thomas's diary, his wife Sarah did so always with a smile. To see how Thomas showed his gratitude, head through the door to the outside.
Yeah, Sarah must have really thrown her back out for everybody.
Uh-huh. Born Again Geek, could this be compensated for with tinted glass, massive air conditioning? Yes. Right? Polarized and or tinted glass would help better protect the interior from light, and therefore heat dispersal, and state-of-the-art air conditioning here could be used to help offset some of the heat that will still make it in. Now, the thing that's concerning here with how much of this is designed to replicate the dimensions of the original is where are you actually running the ductwork for the air conditioning? You can't run it through the steel bracings, those are structural. You can't run it through the glass, that's highly visible and aesthetically unappealing. So, I can hear the buzz of air conditioning, but I'm not actually sure where the air conditioning is running. So, yes, right, none of that was what I said was a deal breaker. The light and the heat risks, as well as the structural threats, can be mitigated. It's not clear to me if this actually mitigated it. Anyway. Ooh, here's another place where I do solidly like this glass. Right? Using the glass here to give sight into underfloors, excellent. Dearly love that. Cause let's see, where was it? Oh yeah, it was in Cordova. Cordova does a very similar thing to some of these glass rooms, as does Athens, the National Museum in Athens, where they use the glass things to show an older layer. So either, at half of the subway stops in Athens are on top of Greek streets, and the National Museum itself is an archaeological site. So they use the glass floor to show the excavated site. In Cordova, they cut out a bit of the mosque's floor to show the Visigothic church underneath it, and the statues, or the glass floor actually points down into the Visigothic level of the church, so you can actually look down from the 10th century building down to the 5th century building, which is pretty cool.
This space was arguably the largest ballroom in the colony, outshining even the governor's mansion in Williamsburg. Thomas built it for his wife Sarah, who, although careful and pious, loved entertaining, especially at the annual Harvest Ball, a must-attend event for every Virginian. The impressive marble fireplace that kept dozens of dancing couples warm is one of the few fixtures to survive the Blackhaven fire. Thomas wrote regularly to General Washington throughout his life, which may explain this fireplace's similarity to one at Mount Vernon. If you're interested in trying to dance yourself, you can scan the bonus.
Of course we're interested.
18th century minuet. Try your luck at dancing the pattern. Let's head down the stairs.
I gotta start watching to see if people actually try to do this.
True, but we're gonna try and do it too.
For real?
Yeah, we are. Of course. Whee! Whee! Aw, did I not get the achievement? I didn't get the achievement. Sad. That's okay. I shall live. Oh, I'm going this way. I see. The Defiant Gate.
The brick arch above has become known as the Defiant Gate because its majestic and haunting shape survived the Blackhaven fire. So popular with visitors that many would break off pieces to take home as souvenirs, the elaborate carved doorway you see now is actually a reproduction installed in 1954, though some still mistake it for the original. The gate has also hosted many weddings, and local superstition says no unmarried couple can pass through together, or their love will be forever broken. This legend may stem from Eleanor Harwood, who refused to dance with her fiancé in Blackhaven's ballroom before they were wed. In the spirit of freedom, we'll let you do as you please, but we are not responsible for any broken hearts.
God.
Head around to the rear side of the house and look for the stairs to the cellar for the next stop.
God, this is so...
Don't worry, my mom would be trying to break off something else if I tried to get married here.
True. This is so accurate. God, it's magnificent. I kind of loathe it, but it's also so good. It's the exact kind of like folk story that you get around these sites.
Come on, guys. It's usually just the balls or the name. It's actually kind of impressive to get them both on one.
Also, immensely accurate.
This is the one that looks closest to how it might have in 1781. The Harwood cellar stored all the beer, ale, and imported wine the family needed to entertain in the ballroom above. If you look up now, you can see the first level where we stopped before. You may also notice curious drawings on the cellar walls.
I like this
Visitors
preservation
to the
choice.
Blackhaven ruins notice the central symbol, naming it Harwood's Lucky Eight, and the shape has come to represent the resilience of the Harwood family. Although Thomas loved codes and ciphers, we don't know who drew the original, and many subsequent tourists added their own variations. These are now their own history and protected by glass, but you're welcome to add your own on our post-it wall.
It
Excellent.
really doesn't look like an 8, though.
Excellent. Love this. Love this room. On a cultural heritage level, love this room. Acknowledging that the history of the place doesn't end with its destruction, and that people interacted with this, and that instead of trying to clean it off, or instead of trying to clean off all the extra graffiti, you're preserving it, and then you're encouraging people to interact with the space and continue that history through post-it notes on a protected space or on a sufficiently durable material that you're not posing any risk to this. You're able to kind of replicate the heritage experience, and if you want to keep these for archival purposes, you'd be able to like either photograph them or physically transfer the sticky notes into the archives for no reason. And for little expense, did I just say for no reason? That wasn't the word I wanted to say. For minimal energy and risk to the site. So that's actually really, 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 really well done. Dearly love that bit.
I could get used to this view.
Holly. That is pretty great.
Plantations like Blackhaven often had their own ports for shipping tobacco. So for many visitors, this rear side of the house was the front. Workers would roll down large barrels called hogsheads to be loaded into the tall ships bound for the Chesapeake Bay and out to the Atlantic. The distant riverbank is dotted with small creeks and inlets, including one shady pool that may have given Blackhaven its name. During the 19th century, a legend arose that Samuel Harwood had done business with pirates and had allowed them
It's
to
so
bury
pretty.
their gold beneath one of the riverbanks. In hard times, treasure hunters can still be sometimes spotted, although now with metal detectors. One treasure we know existed was the spectacular walled garden that once stood between here and the river, full of exotic plants and flowers to support Thomas's study of botany. Now, let's head back inside. This time, take the stairs all the way to the top.
Let me in.
They really need to do the garden next.
I do need to do the garden. Georgian Gardens? Excellent. Would highly encourage them to add maybe not the same garden, but some sort of like plausible rose garden. Some sort of plausible rose garden here would be excellent. Well, that's the battle. That's later. Elevator walkway, that's also later. All the way to the top. Let's do it all in order. Observation deck.
Ugh, I can feel being up here in my stomach.
Okay. That's actually a risk.
Observation deck, you can see the sheer size of the house, as not even the Harwood family ever could. And how about the view? Spectacular now.
I mean, there's another floor.
This was simple
Wait.
attic space,
Yeah.
storing house goods and overflow visitors.
This is at
Workers
least...
at Blackhaven did
Yeah,
gossip
yeah.
about strange goings on in the attic, passing rumors of occult ceremonies and witchcraft. But while the entire Harwood family loved puzzles and secrets, there's no evidence of anything more witchy than a stray broom or two. When you're done admiring the view, head down the stairs to the second floor elevated walkway.
Though part of me wants to see if I can make this rock back and forth.
Please don't.
Never mind, too scared.
Oh. Oh, that's bad. These steel cables are usually rated to 5,000 pounds of holding, so there's actually a fairly minimal risk. You can get these as much as 10,000 pounds of load-bearing weight, so I'm not too worried about this. The odds of them snapping is low, but given how fragile the site here below it is, not sure I'm comfortable with relying on cables to keep this whole thing up and intact.
From this elevated walkway, we can get another marvelous view of the Blackhaven restoration. You can head left and walk along the platform on your way to the front porch balcony. The reconstruction began with the clearing of centuries of rubble, not all of it from the 18th, as many locals had found the ruins to be a convenient dumping pit. Local legends told of Blackhaven servants who were buried alive in the collapse, but no human remains were ever discovered. Once the rubble was clear, architects repaired the brickwork and built the central steel structure to provide support for the glass panels. If you look at some sections, like the glass corner coming up on your left, you'll notice that many plates of glass are actually acting as support columns, maximizing the amount of light and visibility in this innovative restoration.
Yeah, that's the light. Maximizing the light is the problem. Go Huskies.
Well, looks like another stray post-it. Not sure which high school this is supposed to be for. I'm pro dog, though.
Yoink.
Huh. Field of Daisies.
Where is this Field of Daisies?
My grandma's name is Daisy.
Okay, but like I want to...
She would hate it here.
True. Let me
This
look at that.
shows the expansive size of the Blackhaven estate. From here to the museum was only the front yard, with the entire farm extending far beyond the tree lines to the left and right. The hundreds of acres included multiple villages of farmhands, as well as a carpentry, smithy, and gristmill, each with its own craftsman.
Wolfie.
And we are still learning more.
It's
about
exactly
Blackhaven
right.
Even in the 21st century. On the plaque below is a traveling
Right.
visitor's map of the entire estate.
Now, I need to
only
be...
recently discovered in the Library of Congress in 2006. Now continue back out and take a left into the Harwood bedroom.
Now, I need to be very clear. That was far more common 15 or 20 years ago in American museums. And while in some places it is still an ongoing erasure, the heritage industry at large and information and heritage professionals have, by and large, been really keenly aware of the past failures and the past erasures, and have been either designing new exhibits or reworking old ones to acknowledge those past erasures and the role of marginalized peoples in the functioning of all these heritage sites. And so, in 2019, this would be an abnormality. That being, right, the fact that there is nothing would be weird. That being said, work is still ongoing, and it's one of the big themes in my own degree. I'm currently a student working on an MLIS in cultural heritage, and so it's one of the things we're talking about, of one of those, more work needs to still be done. We are making steps in the right direction, but more work still needs to be done, and it's not work that is going without a fight from older visitors, previous generations of professionals, or institutional bias, institutional political will. No, I didn't want to do that.
This balcony shows the
Bill.
expansive size of the Blackhaven.
I'm gonna stop that. I want to look at this, because where's the Field of Daisies? Where's number 17? I see 16. 17 is in the corner there. So it's way the heck over there? Wait, that's... So there's the river, that's the back, so we spin the whole thing around. Yeah, it's way the heck over there. Okay. Well,
An estate. From here to
Ah,
the museum was only
there's not a way to
yard,
skip the track.
with the entire farm extending far
No.
beyond the tree lines to the left and right. The hundreds of acres included multiple villages of farmhands, as well as a carpentry, smithy, and gristmill, each with its own craftsman. And we are still learning more about
Yep,
Blackhaven
but
even
you're right,
in the
KJ.
21st
Also varies by
century.
region. Sites in the
Black
Old
below
South
is a
are more
traveling
likely to do what's going on
visitors
here.
map of the
This is
entire
true,
estate,
but
only recently discovered
Monticello
by
and Mount
archaeologists
Vernon
in
are both
2006.
significantly
Now continue
significantly
back out,
rework their
take a
stuff
left
to
into the
better
Hardwood
acknowledge the role of enslaved people and the violences inflicted upon enslaved people by the physical site and by the owners of the site. Now, let's try this again.
Okay, my last day, I'm taking a nap here.
True. Can't fire me then.
We can't be sure, but we believe this
$20 million
space is
this
the
dude.
master bedroom
$20 million.
of Blackhaven Hall, where Thomas Harwood and his wife Sarah spent many loving years together. You'll also notice some of the period furnishing on display, including this real 18th century bed, possibly owned by the Harwoods themselves. While the frame is intact,
Okay.
the fabric on display is a modern reproduction.
Okay,
Many
that helps.
visitors admire
That
the
helps.
bed curtains on these old pieces, but few know their true purpose. In addition to keeping warmth in and insects out, bed curtains provided privacy between homeowners and any servants. After all, a man of Thomas's sterling reputation would never risk the embarrassment of running into a servant unexpectedly, especially in his honored bedroom. Now head out to the rear balcony overlooking the river for our next stop.
Like they know what Thomas was getting up to in here.
Yep. So, the chat. Who wants to take bets on whether we find things in the game that suggest that Thomas sexually assaulted slaves working on his mansion? I hope we don't, by virtue of that would be a really dark subject to get into. But also, happens to be one that's extremely well attested for plantation owners and slave owners broadly in the 18th century. So, 50-50? Yeah. Sounds about right.
You are now standing in the same spot as Thomas Harwood during the most harrowing night of his entire life, the Battle of Blackhaven. After British General Cornwallis landed in Virginia in 1781, Thomas had worried about the threat of raids and even turned down an invitation to join General Washington in Williamsburg, choosing instead to stay behind and defend the private river homes. Finally, one fateful night, Thomas spotted the tall mast of a British ship over the trees through his spyglass. British agents came ashore, attempting to seek a peaceful surrender and forage, but according to Sarah's later account, brave farm workers fired warning shots before they could even reach the garden. The rest of the family and staff barricaded themselves in the house, with muskets pointing down from every window. Plucky 7-year-old Elizabeth Harwood even risked life and limb to drape an American flag over the balcony, possibly the one now hanging in the museum. As nightfall approached, the British commanders lost their patience and trotted out small cannon and mortars to begin shelling the house. Cannonballs likely hit Blackhaven's walls, although later damage has made it difficult to tell, and aerial shells exploded terrifically in the air. Shrapnel from one bomb apparently broke an attic window and ignited a stack of linens, and Blackhaven was officially ablaze. The Harwoods and their servants fired back furiously, but the British waited for the flames to run their course. As the house filled with smoke, Thomas resolved to stay and become a true martyr for liberty, but Sarah pleaded with him to flee, assuring him that he could not help the new nation as a ghost. The family abandoned the raging fire and escaped into the night. Although we don't know for sure if the legend of Farmer Joe venturing into the burning house to save family heirlooms is true, crucial objects from the house do survive in our museum, whether they were carried or had been stowed away for safekeeping days before. What is certain is that the fire, which later spread to the nearby kitchen and stables, was final and marked a Patriot defeat and the end of Blackhaven Hall.
Ah,
Now,
the air conditioning's
head
in the
back
floors.
to the ground level, take a left, and continue to the site of the formal library.
That's a lot of patriotism for one family getting their house burned down.
Air conditioning is in the floor shaft. We figured it out. We're good. By the way, another thing I like. The fact that the pillars out here are replicas, mimicking the state of the pillars outside, and so they're not actually putting glass weight onto historical pillars. They moved them inside and made replicas. That's good. That's like basic sound practice. Experience and observations on electricity. De la Melange donc Hugh. History of the first discovery and settlement of Virginia. The history of Herodotus, translated by the Greek by Isaac Littlebury. Life and strange surprising adventures of Robinson Crusoe of York, Mariner, yup. Autumn the Third Pastoral. The works of Mr. William Shakespeare. Most of these are actual books. The works of Virgil in Latin and English, etc., etc. The Further Adventures of Robinson Crusoe being the second and last part of his life. Paradise Lost. Right, these I love these books. Excellent. Description, French ecology manual. Notes on the first book of Virgil's Aeneid. Experiments and observations on electricity map Philadelphia by Mr. Benjamin Franklin.
Ugh, the most interesting room, and this is all they've got to show.
It is hard
All right,
to
Leander.
believe that this was once the greatest library in all of the young United States. Filled with hundreds of leather-bound books, scientific instruments, and exotic animal and mineral specimens, the Blackhaven Library was designed by Thomas himself. His collection dwarfed even Thomas Jefferson's, and had it survived, Blackhaven's books, not Monticello's, might have been the basis for the Library of Congress. Lost, too, were Thomas's brilliant journals, some reportedly written in code, full of observations and experiments that might have rivaled Ben Franklin's.
They are doing their utmost to make him the most American, haven't they?
The books here fueled an even hotter fire. The fire of Thomas Harwood's life would soon, too, burn out. Nearly a year after the battle, he began to suffer again from a mysterious illness that had plagued him for years. He finally succumbed to the disease and was buried with honor in Williamsburg before a massive crowd of patriots. Thomas's unexplained death spawned rumors of a poisoning, and even that Sarah had drugged Thomas after he had discovered a secret affair. But modern historians have found evidence only of a loving marriage, and theorize that local Tories may have spread the rumors to discredit Thomas. His life now shines as an example to every American, a patriot who loved his wife and his country. You can now head down the stairs and to the left to the final plaque along the trail.
They used a lot of ifs for Thomas in that one.
We sure did. Sure did. I'm glad she's so suspicious of them because, oh boy, they're deserving it.
Last one. Let's get back and get some lunch.
This is the final stop in our audio tour. We recommend you head back to the museum using the left trail. Blackhaven Hall was never to be rebuilt, as Thomas had vowed that the ruins stand forever as a monument to British treachery. Sarah and her daughter Elizabeth went to live with family in Maryland before she eventually remarried. Thomas's brother William Harwood, a farmer and Episcopal minister, eventually purchased most of the estate from Sarah. A few miles down the road, he built his own new grand home at Oakmont, named for the small tree-covered hill nearby.
Sure.
Oakmont's foundations were built by dismantling the Blackhaven lawn and garden walls to make use of the bricks.
Okay.
Oakmont
Yep.
lacked the imposing size and grandeur of Blackhaven.
Free enterprise.
But the
God,
Harwoods
what a word.
continued their commitment to defending liberty and free enterprise for every American. Although their loyalties to their Virginian countrymen
There it is!
to defend against the Union in the Civil War, the nation mended its divisions and ventured into the 20th century even stronger. Now the family is arguably more famous for Harcourt Industries, a global economic juggernaut, but their story of American success began right here, in the humble fields of Blackhaven. This concludes the Blackhaven audio tour. If you haven't already, be sure to visit our galleries and to pick up something for the special patriot in your life at our gift store. Oakmont Plantation, still the current residence of the 6th generation of the Harwood family, is open for scheduled tours the first and third weekends of every month. And don't forget, both Blackhaven and Oakmont are available for weddings, anniversaries, and
There's that too.
We hope you enjoy the rest of your visit and find your own ways to honor the memory of our founding fathers. As Thomas Harwood once wrote, liberty is entrusted only to them who will work for it. Goodbye.
Pretty sure there were some people working here who
Didn't get their liberty. Just a few. Just a few. Yeah. Chat, we knew it was going to happen, but then, man, you gotta love that Confederate apologia right there. Quietly aligned over, honor requires him to fight on the side of the Confederacy.
Whew. Well, that's as good as Blackhaven lunch gets. Probably should get started on my last task.
Archives. Okay.
The tour is done, so the only thing left is, document scanning in the archive. Well, I better head over.
What do you mean, oof? No. What do you mean, oof? This is the fun part.
Good afternoon. Thanks for calling Blackhaven Hall. This is Kendra speaking. How may I help you?
Oh, hello, Kendra. Thank you so much for taking my call. I just had a couple tiny little questions about y'all's wedding options. So, we are considering a date in September. We're going to have a ceremony on the lawn with the great big oak trees and the view of the river, and the reception in that magnificent new glass structure thing. But my question is, we're going to have a true flock of bridesmaids, and us girls all stomping around all day in 4-inch heels. We need a place to take a load off away from the boys. And, well, we thought it'd be a hoot if we could hole up in one of those little cabins.
The cabins?
Yeah, you know, the cute little ones with the droopy little chimneys that look like summer camp.
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. Blackhaven Hall is a large brick 18th century mansion.
Oh, honey, I know Blackhaven. I just mean, like, when we went to have cotillion at Shady Grove Plantation, they have those cute little cabins in a row out back.
Do you mean the slave cabins?
Oh, well, I mean, no, I don't think so. You know, we just thought it would be fun.
You thought it would be fun for you and your girls to put your feet up in a slave cabin?
Oh, you know, honey, I've kept you on the phone far too long. You must be so busy. I'll try back another time.
I'm not busy.
So thank you so much, dear. God bless.
These yeah, that's a reasonable reaction. Are the slave cabins? Did they get rebuilt? I feel like they weren't part of the restoration here. Going back outside.
I gotta go scan documents in the archive before anything else.
I'm pretty sure the slave cabins were not part of the restoration here. Alright, Johnny, have a good night. But, yes, on that terrible bombshell. Yeah, no, see. I wish that was a shocking conversation. I really wish that was a shocking conversation. Oh yeah, Magishersa. I know that the big house, right? I know that the big house is the only one that burned. The enslaved cabin. The cabins are nowhere nearby, but they don't seem to still be standing nowadays, right? That's the thing. I was looking to go back outside to try and locate them because there's real question as to whether they're still standing. They seem to not be. Right, that's my sense of it, is that they're not standing. Because they were not part of the restoration, because apparently they were unimportant. Oh good, there's the director's office, and the archival reading room. Hang on, what's this? Blackhaven Hall, approved reproductions, okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yep. This all looks about right. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Reading room. Wow. Wow, this is distressingly familiar.
There's the scanning station.
Yeah, oh, I know
Now
what
I
a
have to
scan.
go find the right box from the archive.
Thomas
Looks
Harwood
like I need
papers.
Thomas first.
Which box are all of these boxes one box?
I'll leave that there for now.
Computer's about broken. Yep. This computer's broken, and so we're using a MacBook. Yep, sounds about right. Ooh, hello. Fine. Gorgeous map of the Chesapeake Bay, and don't let me get closer to it. Boo. Can't get closer to it. But that was at a different place. Magistriso, that was at a different place. Oh, AC. Oh, AC, you have missed a treat. And by a treat, I mean pain, but, we'll see if we can get back into the gallery. We'll see if we can get back into the gallery before we're done with it today.
Huh. Look at these.
Carefully.
Check this pattern. These are so much more interesting than the ones in the case.
Carefully. Carefully. Thank you.
Why aren't these on display?
Gee, I wonder why.
Wait. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Are those?
Yes.
Damn, Blackhaven.
Obviously.
Damn. Okay, here we go. This list has which collection is which number.
British Colonial Offices, Virginia Records copy, Samuel Harwood papers, Thomas Harwood papers, National Archives Regimental Records copies, Sarah Harwood, William Harwood, Timothy Harwood, Library of Congress 19th Century Newspapers copies. Not in one of these archival boxes you're not doing. It's a comfort. Look at them. Look at them. They're perfect. They're beautiful. Hollinger metal edge boxes. My favorite. This is comforting in how familiar it is. I'm assuming...
I don't think this is the right folder.
Yeah. What folder did you say it was? It was folder 18, wasn't it? Thomas Harwood papers.
Okay, got the folder. Let me go scan this.
Yes. So yeah, right, the one there, the drawer in here, I do not know the material culture of colonial period America well enough to identify, but I would guess that these were, at the very least, in use by the enslaved populations at Blackhaven Hall, and probably was constructed by them, which, as you noted, may have been based on West African aesthetic designs and construction techniques. Oh boy, a spicy take Okay, this one's gonna be... this one's possibly gonna be a bit much, but... my spicy take is that the decisions that have been made with the restoration of the large building are not intrinsically bad ones. There's the obvious notable exception in there that we are going to just acknowledge very clearly. They have completely and totally erased Thomas Harwood's role as an enslaver and the experiences of the enslaved people who were working on this tobacco plantation. That being said, the choice of probably injuring the long-term stability of the site for the sake of this incredibly fancy building is not intrinsically evil, and offers instead a really cool insight into kind of the grandeur of it using modern materials and familiar aesthetics that turn it into a site of use that is actually genuinely really cool. And some of the choices around the tour and the information done with that and the design of the experiences in it are not intrinsically bad. They're placed in a context that has made them bad, but I'm not as bothered by the stories they chose to tell in the audio tour and the design of the physical grounds in the audio tour. I am bothered by all the incredibly obvious racism that is forcing a contextualization of the building into its most problematic form. This is entirely the fault of the designers and the management of the museum and the director and the administrators, and is blatantly unacceptable. But the restoration of the building itself and the anecdotes in the audio tour are in fact mostly not bad. Read it.
Okay, Helen wants me to check every page top to bottom before scanning. These are always typed up though, so I don't have to read Thomas's handwriting.
Okay, but
I've seen worse.
Yeah, hold up. That...
Alright, that looks fine. Let me
No.
scan on the laptop.
No. I rose at 6 o'clock and ate bread and butter for breakfast. I read 2 chapters on optics, and also poetry in French. All morning I walked about the plantation, looked on the tobacco fields. In the afternoon I took Elizabeth to the walled garden and observed her lessons. Sarah says my young daughter works well and is quite curious. I showed her a row of uncommonly colored cabbages I had planted, and the notes I had taken on their cultivation. Elizabeth was enchanted with their beautiful leaves, and resolved with to discover how best they grow. We made plans and a chart to record diverse amounts of rainfall, sunlight, temperature, and types of soil. Just as the fruits of the garden, she grows more lovely each day, but she too will require advantageous conditions. A watchful eye and a gentle hand will nurture best without oppressing the spirit, much as our American nation once grew strong under the kind gaze of our mother country. I ate a very fine roast beef for dinner. In the evening, Sarah played the new piano for the girls, and I read in the law. Cool. Scanned. What? I did it. Oh, okay.
Well, here goes. Time for the genius of the founding fathers.
Uh-huh. Next one. I rose after 6 o'clock and ate milk and pears for breakfast, read Ovid, scriptures in Hebrew, wished to entertain guests, but I greatly preferred my time alone. My wife is a good woman and maintains friendship with our many kind relations. Afternoon, went to oversee Elizabeth. The cabbages had been stolen. Amazing. Okay, I scanned it top to bottom, though.
So genius is mostly just breakfast comments,
Yes.
apparently.
Geniuses mostly breakfast. Elizabeth is their youngest daughter. And I arose at 3 o'clock at the sound of a great thunderstorm. It raged with such ferocity and frequency of lightning that I could have seen clearly to walk within the house without the use of a candle. Despite her independence, Elizabeth ran to my room, and as I did not want to wake her mother, I read to her softly in my bed. She had asked for a fairy tale so many times, I'd already turned the pages from habit, but zealous of her new learning, I insisted she read instead from her father's business. We took a copy of Palladia's architecture from my night table and together read it word by word as her little hands dutifully turned each page. She pointed to the intricate plates and had me name each feature, saving none, and repeat the features of each ornamented column, window, and door. Became lost in my own speech on how I put such principles to practice in Blackhaven when I saw that she had fallen fast asleep at my side. The storm had subsided and the robins were singing, but still hours from dawn, so I carried her carefully and set her back in her bed.
I guess Thomas does seem
Aw.
gentle with kids, though he put this one to sleep.
Yeah, right, AC, you make the good point that it is not. It is absolutely not the case, that these would necessarily... This is Thomas Harwood's papers, Kyra. So, all the working with Elizabeth with the cabbages is him. We'll see Sarah's papers in a little bit. But yeah, right, public trust, publicly owned museums can also do some really oof stuff, and it is very much dependent on the thing. Yep. Okay. Aw.
She really got lost looking for
Lettuce in the forest.
Poor Pompey getting dragged along in all her white girl nonsense.
True. Also, right, Black Pompey ride out on Sarah's own horse. Which means, right, 98% of the time he's in for a whipping for that, because, yeah, that was not considered acceptable. Notice it's being very carefully not mentioned. So hopefully he turned out okay, but there would be many cases where an act like that, even in dire circumstances, would result in stringent abuse of the slave who was simply, doing the work demanded. Also, yeah, the first enslaved person to be named in the game so far. And another one.
The matter with the cabbages got resolved? Is there a page missing?
Yes. Very likely, yes. And there's all of that.
Better put this back in the box.
Put it back in the right spot. Preserve original order. All that jazz. Go back in the box. Yoink. My cabbages.
Okay, gotta find the shelf where this box goes.
Number 3, so it's probably right here. No, that's 9. That's collection number 9. Collection number 14, I had the exact order backwards. Mostly breakfast comments.
Ready for the next folder. I can look at my instructions in the reading room or the collections index if I need to.
Yeah, let's see what's up next. Should always check the instructions. Anna Harwood, folder 9. Awesome. Anna Harwood should be box 9. Yep. Should be box 9 here. Should be folder 6. No. Huh.
Nah.
Was folder 9. Okay.
Okay, got the folder. Let me go scan this.
Yank. Oh, there's probably... That's reasonably likely. Anna Harwood
that's
Papers,
Let's
Volume
read about
4.
this scary-looking couple.
Correspondence from the Oakmont family, from the Oakmont Library of the Harwood family, Anna Harwood and Gideon Harwood. Gideon Harwood being the heir that fought as a Confederate. Also, something's really suspicious here. Where are the originals? The archive shouldn't be keeping... The archive should not be keeping copies. That's archives' purpose is to keep objects or records of enduring value, which means that 1, they are unique. This almost always means originals. And 2, they offer enduring value to being significant in some way. There's going to be a lot of weeding going on. We're not going to totally preserve everything, because we can't and we shouldn't try to. But the idea that we're just keeping transcripts as if and not the originals of these 18th century hands is super weird. And I would not file these as Anna Harwood papers. Right? I would by no means make...
Gideon's handwriting is a lot of work.
It's
I
not
shouldn't
that
talk
hard.
knowing basically no cursive.
No, it's not that hard. Right. Ooh, I can zoom in. I would file these under the work of the people who did or the creator, and therefore the origin of the records, as the people who did the transcription and the context in which the transcription occurred, not treat them as actual replacements for the original papers. It could also be convenience, Magistressa. Right, it could just be convenience on making sure people don't actually have to read these. Because this is not necessarily easy. My dearest Anna, this will be the first letter you receive and the first that has gone to post since my enlistment. I write to something... From the light of my campfire after a march of 12 weeks, I now realize that the job of a soldier is to march more than to fight. I miss you terribly. I know our cause is true, but I cannot help wishing to see you and our boy and every moment, no matter the direction of company... That's not... Direction of no matter the direction of compass north, west, east, or south, I know all is but a long journey back to hold your poor little hand. And so every step I take is a step towards you. It has become apparent to me that for all the skills of a southern gentleman, some of the other officers have not slept even a single night under the stars. Although some of my, blah blah blah. Blah 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 blah. Oh yeah, like they did a quality job here. Now I want to see this page again. Right, correspondence from the Oak. So right, I would treat these as either a publication, or part of the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society records, so that you get context, so that the actual document would include information about...
Anna's handwriting is a lot neater, but still hard to read somehow.
Ooh, there's some juice in there. There's some juice in there. Shoutouts to the very clear tyrants of northern pretenders. Or sorry, be it against foreign tyrants or northern pretenders. Shoutouts to them. But yeah, right. I would file these under the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society records, for the reason that then you would include correspondences relating to the creation of these transcripts and discussions people had around it, in addition to the transcription itself. My dearest Anna, blah blah blah. For all the skills of a southern gentleman, some of the other officers have not slept even a single night under the stars, although some of my rank have scorned me for not partaking in the officers' mess.
Out in the cold because he just couldn't give up those slaves.
I have one great cheer for my hominy porridge. I owe primarily to tricks from old Silas. I reckon that tired bleep may be cleverer than half the lot and most any Yankee. We do hear rumors of engagements day to day, but so far I have seen no action. I know you think that I am a hard man, and I'll grant I've never feared the day's real work, nor the heat, nor the cold. There are many weak and venal men in our family line, and I've always worked to earn an eternal rest as a faithful servant. Nevertheless, I do fear the violence to come. Men full of whiskey boast and swear by firelight of how we're to whip the enemy, but not even the most enthusiastic papers can disguise that many of us will not return home. Yours always, Gideon. Virginia. AC. Blackhaven Hall is a fictional hall in the state of Virginia. So, Anna Harwood to Gideon Harwood. You are a strong man. You know, so many boys came calling to me, and I had no use for their foppish manners. You're always silent and true, my great oak stronger than a hurricane, gentle in the breeze. You are learning so fast, but your proud wife is just as quick a study. I am so thankful now that father always kept up informed of our accounts and harvest. He remembered his mother's ingenuity as a widow and would not allow his daughters to go without the same. We do worry about getting the tobacco to market, but you are wise to plant more wheat in recent years, so some of ours may even reach your campfire plate. The darkies... Ooh. So, disclaimer. Racial slurs. The blank... ask about the war, but I believe they fear Yankees pillaging more than their steady masters. Of course, Emily and Charlotte have run off together, but each did the same before the war.
Shut your mouth,
I know
Anna.
they'll
Emily and Charlotte better keep running.
I know they'll return to their infernal kin when their taste for adventure runs dry. Oh boy, how I wish all the bleep lot were as loyal as Henry. He still carries on running the house and kitchen when I cannot. He'd not run to the Yankees once in 10 lifetimes. Like our son who fears a fall will take his first steps to his mother, fear not as you take every step back towards me. We fight for liberty, be it against foreign tyrants or northern pretenders, and surely the good Lord in his infinite wisdom will deliver you to me. I shall keep in my private thoughts what plans I have for us when he does. Yeah. So, double dose of racial slurs. Shoutouts to Emily and Charlotte for running away. May they make it to the north. Not that their life will be easy afterwards, but at least they'll stand more of a chance than being enslaved to a year and a half after the Emancipation Proclamation. God, having Kendra yell at the page is immensely cathartic. Dearest Anna, I know that you have received word of my condition at my time at the hospital. I wanted to ease your tender heart, but now I am able to write from mine, tell you everything I could not to the nurse. I written to you about my first taste of the battlefield, which passed without much incident as we stayed behind with the artillery, but 3 weeks ago the bugle finally sounded for your husband and I found myself charging across the field. I cannot describe the sensation adequately.
About all this violence and
There is
chaos.
tremendous noise, but so there always
Every
is.
museum is such a quiet place.
True. There is the whiz of the balls as they cut through the air, there is dirt and smoke and cries of anger and anguish, but in the tumult, what I felt most deeply was the nervous sense of my nakedness. No barricade, no ditch, no country stone fence, only my stained grey wool between me and our Maker. I am ashamed to say I was terrified. With each step I took on my frightful path, I felt less and less the master of my body. It was at this moment I felt my leg give out. It was as if some animal had pulled me down and hit the grass with all my weight. I was alert and aware, but could not move my right leg. Looked down and saw a ball had struck me and split up to my shin bone and blown me wide open. Could not sop up the blood with my torn trousers, which were already soaked in red. I pressed hard to stay the bleeding and winced as I felt bare bone against my dirty palms. In anguish, I crawled just behind the safety of a knoll and somehow removed my coat to tie it tight around my wound and lay back in the grass. So he got his leg blown off, so he's now getting it amputated. Shoutouts to Civil War medicine for being, bad. Even amidst the terrible din, the world quieted. I could see only the blue sky and the white clouds and the nearby treetops, felt the heat of the sun, the same as when we lay in the grass on Sunday picnics. Began to feel light in the head, and supposed these were my last moments on earth. Should have made my confession, but instead I prayed your sweet name on my lips over and over. Thought of your hair resting light on the pillow, thought how you skipped through the garden, thought of our boy grown tall and strong, and walking with me in the ruins of the old house, hearing the tales of great patriots, and bleep, like my father told me. But most while I watched the treetops sway, I thought perhaps if I must leave this earth, my spirit could follow you in the breeze, grazing your cheek, and whispering fervently in the ear of your eternal love. I have more to tell, but weak as I am, my strength fades quickly. My pain lessens each day, but my gratitude remains constant. Thank heaven and earth, I will see you again. Oh boy. Magishrissa, that is a good shout, to the Ask a Slave YouTube channel run by a living historian who reenacts, enslaved women at Mount Vernon. Has a section repeating actual questions that has been asked, which are very bad. Magishrissa, there is a 9% chance that the dog washed his hands. Oh. Oh no. Oh boy. That third paragraph is super yikes. Whatever happens, do not mourn your body. My fine oak will not be diminished, even by the loss of a branch. You'd be nothing like poor Henry, though he still manages to bring my breakfast up the stairs each day with his awful limp. You are a man of letters, the head of a fine and ancient family, thick with friends, and rich in my love. That's gross.
Alright, I'm not gonna lie. These two are really feeling each other. Ease up on Henry, though.
Ease up on Henry. Ease up. Henry did nothing wrong. Henry does not deserve this. Henry is a smart man. Yep. And Gideon passed away. News came recently of our surrender and the death of... Wait, 1864? Okay. The death of our newly free nation, but it troubles me not because all my aspirations have died with you. Many of the servants have stayed back to continue on their farms. After all, they know nothing else, or nor are they suited to live without without supervision. If my heart were not already broken beyond repair, it would pain me to see a smiling Henry riding away in a Union wagon, and that was only a small slight.
Damn, they got Gideon. But Anna's really out here trying to commit a genocide in his honor.
She do be out here trying to commit genocide. Big Gone with the Wind energy on this one, yeah. Yeah, sums it up pretty well. My only solace is that being so close to death before you were able to relate to me. So, yeah, he
Anna's
probably...
so awful, but I can still feel her loss. Why couldn't she feel anything for somebody like me?
Yeah, so my suspicion is that Gideon probably passed away of infection from the leg amputation, because
Better put this back in the box.
Civil War medicine is bad. I think I'll just come out and say it as bad. There was a statements by surgeons in the
Okay, gotta find the shelf where this box goes.
in the Civil War that clean hands equal basically you're
Ready
not
for the
doing your
next
job,
folder.
and the more
I can
blood
look
you
at the
have, the
instructions
better
in
of a
the
surgeon
reading
you are.
room Or the collections index if I need to.
I do need to look at what folder I need. And so, right, there are lots of counts of soldiers, Union and Confederate, passing away from shock, from rapid amputations, and far more passing away from infection afterwards due to horrifyingly unsanitary battlefield hospitals. By the end of the century, there was a better understanding that maybe you
Okay,
need to
got
wash
the
your
folder.
hands.
Let me go scan this.
Now, what are we gonna find in the archaeological reports? Perfect. God, I've had to do similar work with this, by the way. Summary report of battlefield and barn excavations by Clarence Conway, John Rawlings, Stephen Armistead. I've had to do archival digitization. We just used the photocopier, just Xerox stuff. But we did have a fancy, a fancy digitizer for, bound books that we got to use every once in a while.
This one seems more boring.
No, this was going to be the fun one. It lacks the pathos of these letters, but there's going to be some real juice in here. I feel it. These excavations aim to establish an archaeological understanding of the 1781 Battle of Blackhaven, while surviving historical sources recount the attack, particularly in the journal of Rebecca Harwood. There has to this point been little physical evidence from the battle. The earliest mention of the historical record comes from the Virginia Gazette approximately 2 weeks after the events in question, which quoted Thomas and Sarah Harwood. All accounts are consistent that the British troops landed at Blackhaven's private wharf and exchanged small musket fire with the Harwoods and their servants before shelling the main house with a small cannon and mortars, eventually igniting a fire. Rebecca Harwood's later 1824 diary also mentions a second skirmish, exchange of small arms fire from servants barricaded inside of a nearby tobacco drying barn. The barn itself continued in use until the late 1880s, when it was demolished after the construction of a replacement closer to the Oakmont plantation. With these accounts in mind, strategic excavations were conducted at 5 sample sites, 2 near the main house.
Earlier would love this.
True. 2 near the main house facing the river, and 3 at the likely sites of British and American positions near the former burn. Early use of metal detectors looking for traces of iron and lead ordnance shot informed the choice of sites. Yeah, 1976 is plausible for the excavation here. Excavation at Site 102 focused on recovering mortar shrapnel, musket balls, or cannon shots. Thus far, no materials have been found. Much of the recovered material at Site 2 was related to food production, like from the daily carrying of meals from the freestanding kitchen building to the main house dining room. Artifacts recovered from Site 1 were more varied but less intact, and are suggestive perhaps of informal garbage pit. Some pottery shards from Site 1 suggest primary use from much earlier periods in the late 17th or early 18th century.
They never found any bullets from the entire battle? Were they digging in the wrong place?
There's something sus going on here. You are right. That the reveal is that there was no fight and enslaved people burned it down? Entirely possible. Entirely possible. Excavations near the site of the tobacco drying barn focuses again on the search for militaria. Some surviving accounts have made reference to barricades or even more formal redoubts, so attention was made to ground variations potentially left by fortified embankments or ditches. Digging at potential sites revealed again no evidence of a military engagement, but did recover post holes and other soil evidence of between 5 and small timber structures. 5 and 6 small timber structures? There's a typo in there. Although these are not mentioned in the surviving accounts of the skirmish, this appears to be the nearest slave quarters for tobacco laborers and some house servants, the location referred to as the near quarter in Thomas Harwood's surviving journal. Digging revealed a variety of everyday and agricultural objects, far less glass and porcelain, than what found at the house sites, but more colonial-ware fragments, including a few with distinctive decorative markings, and iron goods like horseshoes and nails. One truly notable recovery for potential gallery display are the remains of a very fine imported porcelain teapot, which almost certainly was owned by the Harwood family, rather than any of the slave families living in the quarter. There's the porcelain fragments.
This is the teapot from the gallery.
Perfect. God, I'm having so much fun with this. This is all incredibly well done. On the mutual agreement about the firm and the BHHS, Blackhaven Hall Historical Society, digging at Site 5 was suspended.
What was all that drama about?
This is all picture perfect accurate to the simultaneous tedium, and juicy drama that archival research and heritage site work entails. Right? I told you there was going to be some juice. Additional analysis was conducted on surviving artifacts owned by the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society and the Harwood family. In particular are a set of musket balls from the 19th century collection of Anna Harwood. Using the taxonomy for early American ordnance established by Johnston, Leland et al., 1968, pages 1 through 8, it appears clear that the musket balls do not resemble any in common use by either American or British forces during the Revolutionary era. The caliber and quality of the shots suggest instead that they are from an earlier matchlock musket from the late 17th or early 18th century, most likely the type used for hunting geese or other fowl. Similarly, the brass gorget, said to have been abandoned by a dying British officer, clearly dates from the era of George II and could not have been a relic from the Battle of Blackhaven. It is, however, consistent in similarity to British forces active in the 7 Years' War, and may be possible to connect to the expedition led by Colonel George Washington in the Fort Necessity
one
campaign.
More scan and I'm all done.
Yeah, the archaeologists have to be careful in their report, because
Better put this back in the box.
If it's a report for the Historical Society, they are being supervised by the Historical Society and have to fulfill their obligations to the Historical Society as well as the site. It is not easy to do.
Okay, gotta find the shelf where this.
And
box
while
is.
I disagree with some of the reports, with some of the interpretations immediately presented there, there's definitely something going on in there. I want to see more.
This is a weird little guy stuck back here.
Sure is. We're gonna need to do some digging, chat. Alright, they did their job well, and fulfilling the necessities of working on privately owned land, and the ability of the owners of the land to retract the right.
Well, I did all the pages I can find. And it's almost time to close. Better head over to Helen's office and drop off my key.
Yep. We're gonna see if we can find the thing. But yeah.
Helen said to leave the key in the top desk drawer.
Okay, but let's see if we can snoop. Is there a camera in? Oh god, the ceilings. Oh no. There is not a camera in this office that I see. Replica there, replica of the teapot, the horrifying dolls. I can't open the lower ones. God. Yeah, I hate to see it.
Archive key goes back.
What's this little guy for?
Huh.
Come
I
on.
wonder if this goes to that old file cabinet.
Come on.
I'm gonna go try it.
Yeah! We stand.
Oh, Helen had her computer on sleep.
We snooping. Hi, Deborah. Thanks so much for finishing up Kendra's paperwork. She's after going to staffing the museum all by herself. It's a shame for her to be.
All right, Helen. I see how it is.
Don't think I didn't miss the little 45 flack by the printer. Fuck you, Helen. Yep. This is precisely what is expected. Uh-huh. A small army of microaggressions, and more than a couple major aggressions. Well, well, well. What do we have here? August 27th.
This is a missing page from Thomas's journal. Why have they got this locked up in the corner?
Hey, 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 let me read that. 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 Hey
I need to take this over to the scanner and check it out.
You
What
don't
else might be in here?
don't take it. Don't take it over to the scanner. There are no cameras in this room. You can just leaf through it. Don't digitize these. Dear God, don't digitize these.
Maybe some of the other missing pages are in here.
Yeah, this is gonna be bad. I rose after 6 o'clock and ate only milk for breakfast. I read in geometry and woke to our neighbors about the news from Philadelphia. In the morning I went to see the first leaves cut and hung to be dried in the barn. When I walked through the nearest corridor, I was occasioned with a shock when, what did I see but all three of Elizabeth's missing cabbages growing rudely in a bleak garden. Found Joseph in the field and had him pull the culprit away from her duties, and he brought a rather uncomely wench named Patty. She feigned ignorance as to how such a marvellous specimen could be found leaf planted in her homely plot, when just then her girl Sally ran up to confess she had dug the cabbages to help her mother, claiming that after a day in the fields, the indolent creature had no time to manage the garden and cook for her kin. My temper justly rose and considered beating the girl, for not even a gentle fool can be broken to the saddle without the lash, but I'm rather pleased that I saw the wisdom of it. It was Patty, being fully grown, who deserved punishment for neglecting to train her child, so I had her whipped in full view of the girl, and fed the cabbage to the pigs to show how thoroughly it had been spoiled by the incident. As the base thievery had soured my afternoon, I took a nap on the window couch, before dinner of boiled beef and asparagus. In the evening, my mirth returned when Sarah played the piano.
God damn, he beat a mother in front of her child?
And then needed a nap. Yep.
I knew Thomas was sketchy, but this is messed up.
Yep.
Did someone take this out to make him look better?
Yep. William Harwood.
Oh, it's William, Thomas's brother. He had to be jealous of his bro's hair.
Yep. Richmond Inquirer, March 20th, 1804. $10 reward, run away from the subscriber. Subscriber on the 12th of this instant, my man Joshua. He's about 5'6", about 26 years of age. Formerly belonged to Richard Drew and may be lurking around his farm in Norfolk County, where he had a wife and daughter when he was purchased. He has run away to the same before, though he is not ill-treated. The above reward will be given and all reasonable expenses paid for securing him in the county jail so that I get him again. William Harwood, Oakmont. $10 reward, run away on Saturday, the 5th of this month, my cook Stephen, about 47 years of age. He is about 5 foot 9 inches tall with a clever tongue, and he speaks a bit of French. He is a pleasant countenance and remarkable as a baker and very active and handy. He also plays the fiddle well and may seek employment in such trades. In short, he is smart at anything he set about. He has a little skill in writing and may attempt to produce a pass and endeavor to pass as a free man. He has never run away before in many years of service, so I expect he has been enticed off by some villain. He had on a red wool coat with brass buttons and a silver buckle for his trousers. The above reward will be paid to anyone who will deliver him to me at Oakmont or confine him in any jail so that I may get him again. Oakmont, William Harwood, Oakmont, July 9th, 1804. Run away from the subscriber in Oakmont, a young bleep woman named Hannah, about 5 foot 2 inches high, a yellow bleep girl with a bold countenance, aged about 35 years. She was branded on the shoulder at the old Blackhaven, and she may be easily known as having part of her left ear cut off. She may have been seen crossing at the near ferry and is very clever and lively. A reward of $10 will be given to any person who will secure and put her in jail so that I get her again. I forewarn all persons from harboring said bleep, as in that case they may expect to be prosecuted. William Harwood, Oakmont, June 24th, 1805. Do we get to reenact that fire? I sure hope so.
I don't know, William. Why would Stephen run?
Gee, who could
I mean,
possibly...
Joshua was only sold away from his family, and Hannah was branded and missing an ear. And William is the minister?
Yeah.
How much time do I have?
You got a couple of minutes.
What else have these Blackhaven people hidden away in here?
Also, if you're going to do this...
Hey, secret letters from Gideon and poor racist Anna.
Oh
I
boy.
hope they took these out because of adult content.
Oh boy, the drama.
All these awful people could at least spill a little tea for me.
No, we got way worse to you. My dearest Anna, before I can continue even another word, I must tell you to keep this letter a secret as long as you live. In truth, it would be best for you to burn it, but I know you well enough to suspect you would never agree to such terms. My story does not begin with sorrow. In truth, I was recently rejoicing as I had recuperated enough to leave behind my hospital bed and take my first steps. My gait is uneven and painful, but I must thank our Lord for the surgeon and his nurses, for each considers my walking to be evidence of his miracles. As I slowly recovered, I wished to return to duty, but I was no longer fit to march with the healthy boys. Still, I begged and received a post as a guard in our camp, which was still vulnerable to Yankee raids. Even through my pains, it felt sweet to hold a rifle and keep my post, and once again serve my fellow countrymen. 2 weeks after my new position, some 4 companies of our men met the enemy in a fierce little battle not even 5 miles from camp, and all day the wounded were brought back to the hospital, and with each round came also Union prisoners. Short of rations as we were already, we worried about feeding the captives, and we made them to sit in a cattle pen in a clearing where they could do no mischief. I could not have prepared for what my eyes would see next, a full band of a dozen up-jumped bleeps, true contraband filth, brought into our camp, clad in the hated blue of the regular Union infantry. At first sight, these black rascals looked no more at ease in uniform than apes, but as the shock subsided, we began debating what to do. Their presence so inflamed the tempers of every good rebel that I could not put them with the white Union men or have the whole lot torn to pieces in a riot. Instead, I and another handful of guards marched them a few hundred yards into the nearby woods. Each of us was filled with contempt for these treacherous beliefs, and some in our party even stooped to hurling insults at the beeps, who looked back calmly at us as if deaf and dumb. I wish I could tell you true that our prisoners provoked us, but it is not the case. One of our men, unannounced and inflamed with passions, pulled out his pistol and shot one clean in the head. He fell, and his brains spilled out on the ground, and his blood leaked into the boots of his companions. At least now some of the beefs yelled and begged, some dropped to their knees, but there was no saving them. We each in a fury shot the rest without thinking or speaking to one another. At least one of them I killed all alone. I shot him straight in the chest and saw the stain spread out through his coat until the life left his eyes. It was an awful scene, a slaughter, but they did not bleed like lambs. They looked at us with terror and disdain. I have seen many fall in the field in the commotion of war, but this was different. Truly, it was criminal. Silently, in our relief and in our guilt, we came back with shovels and dug a shallow trench to bury them. The men went through their pockets to reclaim their effects, and one dropped a fine silver case in the dust. I retrieved it and opened up to a daguerreotype, depicting what would have been this man's bleep, dressed as well as a free woman. It was in this moment I was overcome with guilt, for I could see only Bessie back at Oakmont, who raised me and my sister, who nursed us, who fed us, and who held us close to her breast. Surely she loved her man in her own childish way, and there he lay dead in a pile. I still have not reconciled myself to the guilt I feel. War is brutal business, and I would give any number of lives, both ours and theirs, if those who remained would live free from tyranny. Truly, to preserve God's design and the order of the races, I would have killed 10 times as many as we did, but this felt nothing like victory, and I fear I will suffer some greater judgment for violations of honor and conduct which we committed. I feel no pride relaying these events to you, but you so value my honesty, I can tell you nothing else. Love you still in this moment, Gideon. Oh no. My dearest and kindest Gideon, well that I cannot be there to soothe your noble heart. It is truly that wars are ugly affairs, but you remain shining and spotless in my eyes. I am glad you have so great a sense of order and decency that you are simply overcome with righteous anger and transgressed even the law to achieve the greater good. Of course you and your companions were filled with rage. I see that even now the thought of ungrateful creature, we give them so much more than their... I'm not going to read the rest of this out loud. I try to read them out loud for the sake of accessibility or anyone watching this as a podcast, but I am uncomfortable with reading the rest of this. They at least had the sense to actually censor the N-word in the transcription here. But, yes. This is...
Holy shit. I just don't know what to say. Gideon shot an unarmed prisoner like a dog, and Anna is sad he couldn't kill more? With ever-increasing love?
Yeah, they're garbage.
This bitch might as well have been in the Klan. Fuck.
Yeah, that's the correct
Blackhaven
answer.
has had this the whole time.
Yep.
They act like Gideon is a hero.
Yep.
I don't know if I can come back after this. But I have to get my recommendation for Greece. can read a couple more. If I don't turn this key in by 5, I'll be fired way before I can ask for my rate.
AC, you missed the discovery that the Blackhaven Historical Society has removed items from the archives in order to disguise the appalling racism of Thomas and Gideon Harwood. And Anna Harwood. Dear Miss Lambert, my name is Dorothy Mitchell. I'm currently the director of the Tidewater Negro Historical Association. I am writing to formally request admission as a researcher in the library and archives of the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society. I have already conducted genealogical queries in nearby universities and have recovered evidence that connects my family history to the Blackhaven estate. You'll find with this letter copies of 3 relevant documents. An interview conducted by the Works Progress Administration in 1938 with my late grandfather Simon Howard. Simon had been a slave as youth in Western Virginia and recounted to a researcher that his grandmother Grace believed she was the granddaughter of the master of Blackhaven Plantation. Given her age, it is natural to believe she meant William Harwood, who, as you know, took possession of Blackhaven before building Oakmont after the storied Battle of Blackhaven. 2. A newspaper advertisement placed in the Richmond Enquirer in 1867 corroborating the interview. The ad, also placed by Grace Howard, seeks the whereabouts of her father Rob's kin, in particular his long-lost sister. Grace also mentions Rob's childhood memory of being born at Blackhaven and had sold away with his mother. A photograph of a curious artifact passed down through many generations of my family. It is a carving of what I believe to be a bird in African styling, possibly a Sankofa figure, as well as a child that it had once been owned by Rob, a token from his mother to preserve her memory. I believe research time in your archives would allow me to not only learn more about my family, but indeed the greater contributions of Afro-Americans to the history of Virginia. I will await a reply at your convenience and will be happy to furnish any additional credentials that you may require. In addition, let me extend my warmest regards on your recent anniversary. Sincerely, Dorothy Mitchell, Director, TNHA.
I love this woman.
She's
Is
great.
it possible her family are really Harwoods?
Love her. No, I did.
Time for Blackhaven to check in.
I did say I thought it was Thomas, not William, but But I was still distressingly close. Yes, can we get a celebration for Miss Mitchell? 19. Sorry, let's go to the previous page. Previous error page. Previous S page. Oh, there's not a date on it. Really? There's not a date? They didn't date it. Okay. Not long ago. 1970s, 1980s, perhaps? As is customary for an institution to respond in writing to all requests for admission, I'm replying to your letter of May 12th. Blackhaven is a professional scholarly archive of the highest standard, bullshit, and it does not casually admit amateurs to chase rumors based on hearsay. Frankly, your missive is so speculative as to represent an affront to common decency. Although it is beneath the charge of this body, I am bound to respond with each of your insinuations. Oh geez, Wolfie, 10 tier 1 gift subs. Holy crap. To everyone who received a gift sub, Knevik, Technical Wonder Child, Way Too Much of a Fangirl, Blue Canary, Billy Warren, Rezian, Taishar Malkier, The Wacko, Demon of Light, and Kitesh Lamek, enjoy your emotes. For enduring this for our entertainment and education. That is very appreciated. Thank you so much. In a few transcript, Rob mentions of the family story that his grandmother would style her hair in the mirrors of Blackhaven Ballroom, and that the mirror was topped with a swan. If you trouble yourself to visit our galleries on the third Thursday of each month when we welcome black visitors, you know that one of the mirrors survives in our collection and features no such swan decoration. The woman in question must have concocted the story from the wide repute of Blackhaven's famed seal. 2. In the newspaper advertisement, Mr. Howard recounts that his grandfather worked in the mill along the Hickory Creek, but our period renderings of the estate show no body of water by that creek, with multiple documents instead referring to Blackhaven Mill sitting next to the Nicholas Stream. Thirdly, I am distressed to report that one of our archaeological experts believed the photograph of your family heirloom and believes it to be a modern forgery. It's true that shit. Fuck that! Fuck you! It's typical that shares many of the crude, primitive stylings typical of African art, but nothing of a similar appearance has ever been recovered in this area of Virginia. The piece is much more likely a modern fraud of the cheap sort commonly proffered in northern cities to appeal the backwards-looking sensibilities of fuck you. Fuck you, Rosemary Lambert.
Ugh, Rosemary, you cold piece of I'd be mad, but you're probably dead. And you're in a folder that's already full of lies. Maybe you're lying to Dorothy, too.
1960s, yeah. The problem is that this The problem is that this style of typewritten text on plain white paper is in use from the 1930s, I'd say. Right, 1930s into the 1990s, and so without it being dated a little more precisely, we're kind of just relying on context clues of how horrifically racist and the lingo that is now severely out of date for Black Americans. Late 60s makes sense. I could also see anywhere up to in the 1970s. Right. Maybe up to like 77 or something. Hopefully that was enough time, Magistressa, to get a good look at it. Information wanted of my family on behalf... Yeah, very neutral style. It could also be 40s to 60s, yep. Information went to my family on behalf of my father, Rob, who is 87 years old. He was bred and born in Virginia, and accounts being told that he lived on Blackhaven Plantation just after the Revolution. He and his mother were sold away west when he was only a babe, and he wishes to inquire about his only sister, who he left behind. He believes that her name was Lizzie or Nancy, but he lost his mother so young that he cannot remember. Any information of the above-named party will be very thankfully received by Grace Howard, Box 123, Virginia, Richmond, Virginia.
This is so sad. Rob, I hope you and your sister are together now and at peace.
Interview with Mr. Simon Howard, ex-slave, Richmond, Virginia, by Deborah McDowell, February 26, 1937. I've lived all my life in the mountains of Virginia. I was born in the 40s. I don't remember the year now, so many past. When the war came, 3 generations of my family had lived under them hills. My mother's name was Grace, and she had a kind heart, but never forgot none. She would tell us children stories about the family and the history of the state. She always took pride in knowing who the president was, and I would ask the master about him. Though I remember she knew well enough not to ask master about President Lincoln, for his account of him that the war started. She told me that my grandfather, who was very old and no longer spoke in the time that I remember him, she told me that he had been born on Blackhaven Plantation. I believe his name was Robert, though I never heard him say it, but everyone on the farm called him Old Rob. She always told us he'd been born way back east along the coast, and he and his mother had been sold to us when he was a meek infant. He told us lots of stories about her grandmother, Rob's mother, but never about his father. I could tell there was something sad about it. One time I was brave enough to ask, and she said she wasn't sure, but she believed that her grandfather, Rob's father, had been a white man, the master of Blackhaven. But I never knew any more than that. Our master had some distant relation with the farm, but I believe now they call it Oakmont. Yes, he does mean the 1840s there. My mother told me, and my great-grandmother remembered some of her life at Blackhaven, that her husband was a cooper or smith who worked next to the mill on Hickory Creek. He used to tell her that her hair was as soft as the moss that grew in the clear running water there. My great-grandmother had been working in the house before it burned down during the Revolution, and my mother said it was as fine a house as George Washington's. I think maybe she liked telling us these stories because it made her feel like this was her country. Mine never felt that way. Wasn't ours for the war, wasn't when the Yankees came, ain't ours now, though I was glad to be free. Anyhow, my mother told me how before my great-grandmother would go to meet my great-grandfather, she would sneak and fix her hair in the ballroom mirrors of Blackhaven. These fine gold things would have swans perched atop them. Then she'd walk all across the plantation and wait to see him outside the mill right after sundown, and they watched the last pink light shine on the river. My mother said her grandmother had loved the sunset, but could never take one in again after they sold her west. Felt too much like turning her back on her dear old man.
This is a lot of detail for someone this old. Simon doesn't seem
Mastressa.
confused. And Dorothy's letter is so careful. Look at her. She doesn't look like someone who wastes her time. Also, didn't she say there was a photo of a bird? Did Blackhaven hide that too? Ugh, if only I had a little more time to check.
We can't check any
If I
longer.
don't start walking to the office right this second, I'll never make it.
Gotta drop this in. And there's a camera. And there's a camera. Time to go.
Fuck it. I don't care if they know I snooped. Greece has been there for 3,000 years. It can wait a couple more.
Badass. Let's go.
Dorothy, you and I are gonna get some answers.
So Mastressa, Simon appears to have been living in Western Virginia. So when he says way back east along the coast, he most likely means, right, the Chesapeake Bay area, and he was sold out into the Western Mountains when he was a kid. Let's go. Agricultural contract between Solomon Harwood and Virgil Riley, January 12th, 1867. I'm not even going to try and read this cursive. Holy moly. Transcription, please. Commonwealth of Virginia, Gloucester County. Articles of Agreement made and entered into this first day of January 1868 between Solomon Harwood of the first part and Virgil Riley, freedman of the second part. The said party of the second part agree and bind themselves to work for the said party of the first during the year 1868 on the appointed farm near Oakmont. Said Virgil Riley and with his wife and children are to work on said farm as before the war and cultivate 20 acres in corn and 20 in cotton, keep fences in good order, and do all other work necessary, and for their said services to receive 1/2 the cotton and 1/3 the corn raised, after all necessary expenses are deducted. Said Virgil Riley agrees to furnish themselves in provisions, clothing, medicine. His wife further agrees and binds themselves to do all the washing and ironing, and all other housework necessary at the South Foreman's house during said year 1868. Said Virgil Riley furthermore binds themselves that they will obey the orders of Harwood in all things, and do good labor 10 hours a day on average, winter or summer, and with all lost time paid at the rate of $1 per day. In witness whereof we hereto set our hands, and seals the date above written. Sharecropping.
So even as a
Freeman.
freeman, Virgil and his wife are still picking the Harwood's cotton.
Yup. In an extremely abusive contract. Williamsburg, Virginia, August 2nd. Oakmont, bleep, Virgil Riley is being held in a Gloucester County jail for an attempt on the life of the prominent planter and businessman Solomon Harwood. Harwood was drawn into an altercation with Riley when he attempted to collect on a delinquent debt. Riley had seized Harwood's revolver and fired a shot which struck him in the shoulder. Speaking of the attempt on Harwood's life, Riley justified the violence. My wife has been sick going on a week and unable to do her work. Mr. Harwood had come to us demanding $1 a day for each she missed. I told him this does not suit me. After 2 drought years, we didn't have that kind of money. He told me to move my wife from the cabin right away, and I replied it would kill her as she was very sick. He said it made no difference and that he would show me my place. He struck me with a strap and had me on the ground. I was afraid he would kill me, so I stole his pistol and fired only once. Solomon Harwood sought to clarify the matter while resting under the care of his loving wife from Oakmont. Virgil once worked about as well as any bleep, but he has grown too comfortable in his position and has made a habit of indolence. His wife is bitter and preening, probably on account of too many years shared with a chicaning husband. I suspect his sense of purpose will be renewed now that he's to work for the county. Riley faces up to 20 years hard labor for his crime.
Every generation of these Harwoods is the same.
Correct.
Virgil was just trying to protect his wife, and now he won't see her for 20 years.
Historical Catechism, Blackhaven Hall and Oakmont in Virginia by Benjamin Harwood. Why is this? Question: Who founded Blackhaven Hall and why? Nathaniel Harwood founded Blackhaven as a brave response to an Indian massacre of innocent farmers. He set an example that ingenuity and hard work would always lead to success in America. How did Thomas Harwood contribute to American independence? Thomas Harwood was a fierce patriot who rode in defense of liberty and property and fought bravely at the Battle of Blackhaven. As a signer of the Declaration of Independence, he led Virginia in rejecting British tyranny. Question: Was Blackhaven Hall unique in owning slaves? Answer: no. Every British colony had slaves and servants, as did every other civilized nation. Question: How were slaves at Blackhaven treated? Answer: The Harwoods had a reputation throughout the state as gentle masters, as cruelty would have offended their neighbors and limited their efficiency and profit. Question: Who built the Oakmont plantation? Answer: William Harwood, a humble and kindly minister, and the brother of Thomas Harwood. Question: What was the cause of the war between the states? Answer: The disregard of the Northerners for the rights of Southern states. Was slavery the cause of the war? No, it was the denial of self-government to the South by the North. Question: What did the South fight for? Answer: all caps, to repel invasion and ensure independence, just as Thomas Harwood and the Founding Fathers had done. Question: How did the slaves behave during the war? They were true and loyal, refusing to support the invading enemy. Most preferred to work the same lands even after the war. Question: Why did Gideon Harwood fight in the war between the states? Answer: Gideon was sturdy and sweet, but could not allow the liberties of his countrymen to be infringed. Question: What role did Gideon Harwood play in the war? Answer: Despite his station, he chose to fight as an infantryman, and after a spotless record of honorable service, gave his life for his country. Question: What is the aim of the Blackhaven Ladies Association and this catechism? Answer: To teach the true history of Blackhaven Hall, Oakmont, and of all Virginia to every growing boy and girl. So, fuck this. This is, regrettably, exactly the kind of document that's circulating in the 1920s as part of the Blackhaven Ladies Association is almost certainly an offshoot of the Daughters of the Confederacy, or is replicating similar ideas. So this is Confederate apologia of the highest order, and lies through its goddamn teeth. Repeatedly. In case there is any doubt, or anyone watching the VOD is not entirely sure, the primary cause, as admitted by the Confederate leadership and Confederate government from the moment of the accession all the way through to the surrender and long after, was the preservation of the right of white people to enslave black people. That was it. That was the primary cause. The spinning up of states' rights is propaganda that is then spun up into further propaganda long after the war. The Civil War was fought over slavery. There was vast resistance movements among enslaved people throughout the war and long before it, and the reason why many were forced to stay on the same plantations working the same land was due to sabotage by southern state governments of Reconstruction and horribly abusive contracts, abusing limited literacy rates among formerly enslaved populations, ensuring de facto slavery was preserved despite the hard work of activists internationally against it. Would it be more pertinent for the game to actually just cite the Daughters of the Confederacy than a fictional Blackhaven Ladies Association, or is there legal libel trouble? I don't think there's legal libel trouble. I think the reason why they're doing this is just making sure that it's personal, right? The whole point of all of this is to make sure that it's personal.
I gotta give them some credit. Nearly every one of these questions is disproved just by the stuff in this folder.
Hey look! Monument unveiling. beautiful Confederate monument honors heroes who wore the gray. Inspiring address by Benjamin Harwood, the occasion marked by ideal weather, a day of good cheer, crowd estimated from 1500 to 2000, Oakmont, Virginia, Thursday, November 2nd, the marvelous speech of the crowd excerpted below. I am so very humbled and grateful to stand before you all today, the new director of the Blackhaven Historical Society, on this most historical locale to dedicate this noble gift from the Blackhaven Ladies Association, a monument of bronze to honor the peerless sacrifices of our Confederate ancestors, who may now look down upon us from the heavens ringed in celestial glory, now together forever with the Creator who buttressed their cause. The statue before us is a mere likeness of the valorous young lads, precious children at heart, but men by deed, who struggled that we might not lose our honor, and no matter the bittersweet sting of defeat, when we now look upon ours, the greatest nation, we can see that they succeeded. This figure would be modest on the cliffs of the Acropolis or the facade of Notre Dame, but it is for us a true colossus that welcomes us safely into the harbor of freedom. And it is so small, it is no small accident, not so small accident, that bears a resemblance to young Gideon Harwood, the favorite son of Oakmont, scion of the once great Blackhaven, the dearest husband of devoted Anna Harwood. Gideon, who was born into every advantage, brought himself low, and sacrificed everything for the most sacred of causes. Greater love hath no man than this, that one lay down his life for his friends. Those sweet, steady boys, the best fruit of our nation, fought nobly and true in the terrible war between the states. They fought for their homelands, for the toil of those in the fields, for the peace of the songbirds at dawn. Fought not like the Yankee for control, for meddling, for tariffs, for railroad barons and factory owners, but for unspoiled family farms, and even as they spilt the blood of their American brothers, they did so only with fairness, dignity, regretful lament. So many mothers and children wept in those days for their loss. So many grandchildren and great-grandchildren now may weep for never having known such men as no longer walk among us. Just over the horizon of these hills lay the ruins of Blackhaven Hall, a relic from another age when such great patriots walked these lands. And in the cause that no free man should ever bow before a foreign tyrant, its unrivaled form was lost forever. Thomas Harwood once carried the banner of liberty, and Gideon Harwood died the same, holding a starry tapestry in his hand. And if I may dare to speculate on the unknowable designs of Providence, we are each charged to carry on our own fight in the new century. The glory of the Anglo-Saxon race and its supremacy are daily affirmed by the works of our great nation, and even though over 50 years ago that natural and divine order faced its greatest challenge, the manifest deeds of godly white men stand atop the strivings of all the world's people. It is said that the meek shall inherit the earth, and little young boys like Gideon have known when they left the comforts of home for their humble duty that they would make true the scriptures for us today. It is with only a fraction of the same nobility that I inaugurate this monument to stand for all time. Oh man! So, firstly, Dr. Coltrane, mad fucking props to you for so immensely and heart-wrenchingly nailing the stylings of every period of writing and archival document that is being preserved here. My god, holy historiated games, holy crap. You've nailed it. Now, everyone in the game, fuck you sideways. Look at that. It has made explicit the things that we were just talking about. The Daughters of the Confederacy are a movement that emerges roughly 30 years after the end of the Civil War, and by the 1920s, when they really hit their stride, they are the primary funders of Confederate monuments that have been the focus of the past 5 years-ish of debates in America and the removal of many of them. Most of those were erected by the Daughters of the Confederacy. Most of them were explicitly glorifying, in exactly the words used here, white supremacy. As a special shout-out, I am an early medievalist. There are still many in my field who will use the term Anglo-Saxon to describe the Germanic peoples of early medieval England. This document proves why I do not. This document proves in disgusting detail why I do not. Because if you think there is a doubt that people are referring to pre-conquest England as their direct ancestors, when they called themselves Anglo-Saxon in the 1870s, 1890s, 1920s, 1960s, 1990s, or 2015, you're wrong. You're just wrong. Thomas Jefferson proposed that Hengist and Horsa should be on the seal of the United States of America because the Anglo-Saxon invasions were the originators of the ideals of law and order that white America modeled itself on, in his estimation. So, guess what? It's a really fucking racist term. And calling the glory of the Anglo-Saxon race is just a monument to white supremacy. With every passing day, I despise Thomas Jefferson more, as you should.
Mr. Johnson always tried to say in 7th grade history that monuments were about heritage, not hate. He needs to read what a monster war criminal murderer Precious Gideon Harwood was.
Also a reminder, white people being childish is a good thing. But, right, the childishness of white people is good and noble. But the childishness of black people is an excuse for white supremacists to subjugate them. Remember that. Congress of the United States, House of Representatives, Washington, D.C., June 28, 1959. Ms. Rosemary Lambert, Blackhaven Hall Historical Society. Dear Rosie, I want to thank you so much for your warm hospitality at the Blackhaven Flag Day picnic. Marjorie and I had a wonderful time, and our kids were absolutely tickled exploring the ruins. That bunch couldn't decide whether they were playing George Washington or General Lee, but they had a right good time. Of course, we also want to thank you and the Foundation for your continued support of our campaign. No matter what George Warren has seen fit to write, I am a tireless defender of constitutional government and state sovereignty, and will work always to promote peace and prosperous separation between the races. Fuck you. Give my best to Martin and the girls. Frank Hamilton. Let me add, it was such a thrill to see old Charlie Harwood again. Told him that it was the most fun I'd had since he and I corked up together for the 29 Follies. And to say our people have no rhythm. Also, Judge Warren, this is Brown v. Board of Education. June 28th, 1959 is just after Brown v. Board of Education. This man is writing in explicit defiance of rulings of the Supreme Court of the United States.
Okay, Dorothy. Rosemary was tight with the straight-up white supremacist, and we're supposed to trust her over you? No. We're gonna do this.
Virginia Archaeological Consulting Incorporated. Dear Miss Lambert, this should be in the 1970s. This letter serves to confirm the mutual suspension of our contract for excavations at the Blackhaven Hall Historical site. As stated in our previous correspondence, we are more than willing to continue with the excavations at Site 5, although at this point we find it extremely unlikely that we will be able to recover any material evidence from the Battle of Blackhaven, given the returns from Sites 3 and 4. Nevertheless, we have already documented numerous significant findings about the lives of Blackhaven slaves at what we believe to be the near quarters, and believe further investigations could greatly benefit your museum and education programs. However, we are bound by a recent ethics committee agreement with other peer firms to a very specific set of protocols regarding the excavation of human remains. As reported in our previous letter, we stopped our initial site at Site 5 when one of our contractors uncovered a bone we later confirmed to be a human clavicle, likely a male of African descent. Our ethics pledge requires us to immediately make a good faith effort to contact local descendant communities and to take any agreed upon steps towards repatriation of remains at the expense of the client. As you have declined to pursue this course of action, we are, as mentioned previously, invoking the mutual dissolution clause in our contract. Informally, as a colleague in heritage work, I would still implore you to take these steps on your own. We will still prepare our report for the already completed work and have that presented to the archive at the original deadline. Sincerely, Clarence Conway, Principal, VAC, Inc.
Oh my fucking god. Blackhaven covered up a slave burial ground? This wasn't even that long ago, just before Helen.
Look, don't even give a shit.
Does she know about this?
Yeah, of course she knows. Oh god, we're half an hour late now. Come on, keep going. Keep going. Hey, look at this. Norman Page Associates to Helen Morris. Dear Ms. Morris, I am writing to summarize the findings of the summary judgment verdict rendered regarding Jennifer Harwood's claim to membership on the board of the Blackhaven Hall Historical Foundation. As you are aware, all living direct descendants of Thomas Harwood or William Harwood are automatically granted the status of beneficiaries with regard to the Harwood Estate Trust. You will also recall that the previous settlement between Jennifer and the trust manager found that even though she had emancipated herself from Thomas and Linda following her time in rehab, she still maintained her status as a trust beneficiary and was entitled to the yearly dividend payment for the hardcore industries, a co-equal share of 10% of the annual corporate profits, as the result of the trust's initial investment in the company. Because the terms of the Historical Foundation bylaws are much vaguer than that of the trust, we argue that Jennifer should not receive a place on the board, but Judge Wallace has dismissed our lawsuit to prevent her from taking a seat. The judge made it very clear that any direct descendants can automatically claim trust benefits, the annual payment, and foundation board membership. While this outcome is disappointing, the judge also found that board members must be physically present to vote, and as Jennifer's last listed residence was still in Costa Rica, you likely do not need to concern yourself with this possibility in the near future. With the very best wishes, Douglas Winters, Associate Attorney, Norton and Page Associates.
Wait, hold up. Any descendant of William gets a share of 10% of hardcore profits? They're like a Fortune 500 company.
Yeah,
Even
AC.
if there's dozens of current descendants, that would be hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars. They've been trying to keep this from you for years, Dorothy. What if you're right? Forget researching here, you'd be running this place.
Yep. AC, if you could grab the ICOM Code of Ethics, that would be helpful, even though the current Code of Ethics and NAGPRA, though NAGPRA doesn't actually apply here, most likely, assuming that they don't find pre-colonial remains of the local Native American tribes. But, right, before most of the modern, ethics agreements, the 1970s predates most of them. Certainly the current round of the ICOM ethics laws. But if you got them, we may as well take a look, right? These are going to be long. These are just going to take a... Yeah. Okay. Do, give me just a sec here, chat. Uh-huh. We're going to publish this. Financial reading. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think I've got the... Okay. So, shall we count the... at the end here, we'll pull this up and we will count the number of failings. Right? I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to give it a ding counter as to how many places it has... how many places they have violated the International Council of Museums Code of Ethics, and while I doubt Blackhaven Hall is an accredited museum in the first place, given that it seems to be fully privately owned, we're still gonna ding them on it, because fuck them! Dear Mr. Morris, in regard to your previous... mother. I forgot about that. Dear Mr. Morris, in regards to your previous letter concerning the Americans with Disabilities Act, the ADA compliance of the Blackhaven Hall Restoration Project, yes, it is true that certain historic sites are eligible for exemption if they meet the established test that compliance will threaten or destroy the historical significance of the site in question. Your argument that Blackhaven's long-established status as a ruin since 1781 would be imperiled by ADA-compliant accommodation is likely to withstand a challenge, particularly in our district court, but I'm not sure this exception is truly in the spirit of the law, given the architectural character of your upcoming project. Nevertheless, I will await your instructions on how to proceed. I totally missed that. They are super in violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Like, massively in violation on numerous counts.
Can't ask the Harwoods to do even one simple good thing.
There it is. Oh.
Hold up. This is the bird Dorothy mentioned.
Oh, it's gorgeous. It's
I
also...
gotta say, it does kind of look like a robin, but also in an African style.
Yep.
And look at the pattern.
Same as on the things we saw.
Didn't I see that earlier somewhere around here?
Yeah.
I need to go check.
Come on. We're checking. Right there.
Yes, this one.
And
It's the exact same design.
also,
Even the feel of it is the same. It's like the same person did it.
I would point out that
They found this in the slave
the
pit.
letter explicitly said that
means
nothing of
Rosemary
that
and
style had
Blackhaven
been found.
lied to Dorothy about her evidence the whole time.
Yep.
You were right, you were right, you were right. Okay, but what about the next two objections? Rosemary said Simon's story was false because Blackhaven's mirror didn't have a swan.
We can check that.
Isn't there a mirror in the gallery?
Yep.
Maybe I can figure out why it doesn't have a swan.
Yep.
I should also call my mom. Maybe she can check out some things for me.
Pretty... Thank you for all the lovely birds in the chat. Hey, AC! We, Let me take a look at the gallery here. I actually super like the gallery, even though it's super gross. Right, the content is gross, but on a design level, I kinda really like it.
Hi, Mom. No, I'm not back home yet. I'm actually still at the museum.
Like
No,
that like
they're
an hour
not
ago.
gonna pay me overtime. They don't even know I'm here. Mom, I'm researching something and it could be really big. But I'm locked out of the internet and my phone doesn't get data out here. Can you see if you can find a contact number for a woman named Dorothy Mitchell? She's pretty old, but I think she lives in the area.
Oops.
Yeah, Mitchell with an N.
FPS. Help.
I don't know if it has one L or two. Just try both. You can
But-
just email me from my work address if you find anything. Thank you. I'll call you from my desk when I finish up. All right, Mom. Bye. Okay, I gotta go check the mirror.
Yeah, I do.
Probably want to start with the front entrance.
Boo! Fine, we'll go through it properly. We sadly cannot do the gallery quiz, but I will say at this point, this game is free to play. You can get this on Steam right now for free. Benjamin Harwood is 1915. Hey, we nailed it. Yep, the name of the game is Blackhaven, and I will also say at this point, they have another... Historiated Games has a sequel to this game. Called Cassius. That's going to come out sometime this year. Thank you for that link, Raptors. It's very helpful. It's not out yet, but it's slated for release in 2022. And it's going to supposedly take place at Blackhaven Hall in the 18th century. Oh yeah, you do see heraldry. Hold up, let me relocate the heraldry. There's the heraldry. Born Again Geek, enjoy your night. We're gonna try. I believe in us. we can commit a little bit of arson. Now, hey. There's a mirror here.
Well, here it is again. There's definitely no swan. I wonder what other info Blackhaven has.
17... 15? That's too early.
Helen did say that they were going to be beta testing object scans. I wonder if I can scan for more info.
Yeah, come on, dig your own grave. I believe.
Yes.
Ornamental mirror was originally hung in one of a pair that was believed to have hung in Blackhaven Ballroom. Large mirrors were popular in the 18th century, not only for guests to check their appearance, but also
This mirror was one of a pair?
Come on.
And they found the other?
Come on. Stop it.
Ah! The swan!
I wanted to read the rest of it, but fine.
When Rosemary told off Dorothy, this hadn't even been discovered. Dorothy, you were right again.
Your grandfather remembered. His mother, his grandmother, they remembered. She...
Oh my god. She looked at herself in these shards.
Yeah?
I can't imagine. Okay, there's only one more point left to prove. Let me go check my email and see if Mom found anything.
Yeah. So, before we get to, all of that, AC, you're the one with the museum studies degree. What we looking at? Bet she's the lady in this painting? This lady's name? No. She's an unknown servant, according to the label. Oh. Yeah. Right, they said it was... But yeah, right, I think, yeah, said it was either Lizzie or Nancy for the woman who... for his sister, and his mother was Grace? I think.
I should see if my mom wrote back.
Oh no. Game. Game chill. Game chill. Maya Turner and Dorothy Mitchell. I looked up this Mitchell woman. It seemed like she had a truly incredible life. What does she have to do with the Blackhaven people? Looks like she was into history. Unfortunately, it seems she passed a few years ago. Found her obituary attached below. I also tried looking for her on Facebook, and I believe I found her grandson, Anthony. Still is at the same place. I found his number in an old phone book. 757-555-6536. How's that for detective work? Let me know. Call me when you're finished. I want to know what you're digging up on the job. Love, Mom. Dorothy Mitchell, 86, of Newport News, passed away peacefully in her sleep, surrounded by attending family, September 14th, 2004, at St. Mark's Hospital, Norfolk. Funeral services will be held Friday at 2 p.m. in the Chesapeake African Episcopal Church. Burial will follow at Walnut Grove Cemetery. She was born February 17th, 1918, the daughter of Gregory and Eunice Howard. She married Sam Mitchell, a factory foreman and Army veteran, on June 10th, 1946. Passed away on November 6th, 1992. Mrs. Mitchell was a beloved educator and civic activist. A longtime schoolteacher and the first black woman to teach in integrated county schools, she was active in the civil rights movement, leading multiple voter registration drives and lecturing widely on black history. Mrs. Mitchell was the founder and director of the Tidewater Black Historical Association, and in 1987 published the historical collection Tidewater Voices, Remembrances of Black Virginia. In 1992, she helped establish the Chesapeake Black Excellence Scholarship Fund, and in recognition of her efforts, she received an honorary doctorate in 1998. Later in life, she was often fond of sending her neighbor children home with vegetables from her garden. She is survived by her children George Mitchell and Amelia Robinson, and her grandchildren Anthony Mitchell, Daniel Mitchell, and Irene Johnston. Absolute frickin' hero, Dorothy Mitchell.
Oh no, Dorothy. I guess you were older than it seemed looking at that picture.
I mean, that picture was also 50 years previous.
The family needs to know she might be right. Anthony seems nice. Damn, can you imagine if he was at the next meeting with Helen? Alright, Dorothy. First, Blackhaven said you couldn't be a descendant from the Harwoods because the bird carving wasn't authentic. That's wrong. It looks just like Blackhaven's own pottery. Next, they said Simon's family was never here because their mirrors didn't have a swan. But oh wait, yes they did. Last, they say Simon had the wrong name for the creek at the mill. He said Hickory Creek. Blackhaven said Nicholas Stream. Ugh. How am I supposed to know what a creek was
got
called
maps.
100 years ago? The model over there doesn't even show the river.
No, we got map collections.
Let me call my mom real quick and thank her.
We got maps.
Hey Mom, thanks for sending that stuff along. Let me put you on speaker. Can you hear me?
Are you by yourself?
Yeah, Mom, of course.
So, what did you find out about this Mitchell woman?
Mom, I'm not sure, but I think Blackhaven might owe her family some money. Like a lot of money. And maybe some other things.
Oh, did she do some work for them?
No, Mom, it's a lot bigger than that. But I don't want to say anything more until I'm totally sure. I just have to check one more thing before I leave.
It makes me wish I'd gone to hear her before she passed. Even the foundation name sounds familiar. Where have I heard that before? 1 second. I'm going to check this. Chesapeake Black Excellence Scholarship Fund. Here's their page. List of projects.
Ooh.
Wait. Oh my god. They're the chief sponsor of Lee. Kendra, baby. Do you know who this woman is? She paid for your scholarship.
Yo!
What? Dorothy, you're the whole reason I'm even standing here.
You still there?
Yeah, Mom, that's...
Yo!
Okay, Mom, I promise I'll check in just a bit. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, honey. Just call me back. Don't get into too much...
Oh, we're totally fired.
Calling Grandma Daisy to bail my child out of jail.
Yeah, bye, Mom. Love you.
Oh, we are super fired.
Daisy! There was a map in the big house with the field of daisies.
Yep.
It might show the real name of the creek. I've got to go check.
There was. I tried to go look at it. I freaking tried. So often. Oh, this is... Look, we stand this trouble. This is good trouble.
I just need to run up to the house and check that map.
Come on. By the way, look at this. This is a crazy architectural project. Yeah, you know, with the added reminder that this is ADA non-compliant, despite being obviously architectural, and not really conservation public trust focused. That's a big ol' fuck this. I retract my spicy take from earlier, Wolfie. It was a bad... Of a lot of the decisions being neutral? No. I'm gonna retract that one bit. Right, just put a goddamn ramp right up here, please. So yeah, we are absolutely gonna just like ding them on everything here. By the way, I'm shocked our badges didn't deactivate already. Also, yeah, if the map here actually mentions it, I'm gonna be really amused.
And it wasn't found until 2006.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Blackhaven hadn't even seen this when they told her Simon remembered the Rome Creek. Okay, one last time. Dorothy thought her ancestors met at Hickory Creek.
It's right there, yeah.
Blackhaven said the only one with a mill was the Nicholas Stream. Let's see. There's a few little rivers here. Oh, I should use the key.
Alright.
Okay. Stables, garden.
Hickory Creek. Number 12.
That's it. It's really there. On their own damn map. Hickory Creek. Dorothy was a better historian than any of them.
True.
She really should have run this place.
True. Big true.
She probably should own this place.
Bigger true.
Literally be in her blood. Wait, they could test DNA now. The family could know for sure if they're really Harwoods after all. Anthony, oh my God, what am I about to drop on you?
Oh, this is gonna be juicy.
I gotta find a place with some cell service to call him. Maybe out front on the park bench.
All right, but we probably should have finished up the work in the archive first. Just the thought. We seem to be getting caught up in the thing that we forgot to check the last 2 pages of the archive. Don't ask questions, you might be a millionaire. Yep.
Whew, here we go.
This might actually be...
Become Blackhaven's worst intern of all.
Ah, they deserve it.
Come on, pick up. Maybe it's the wrong number.
Hello?
Yeah, hi. May I speak to Anthony Mitchell?
This is him.
And are you the grandson of a Dorothy Mitchell?
Who is this, anyways? If you're with the charity folks, I have told y'all you should not be calling me at home. The estate handles all the donations.
No. Actually, I'm calling from the Blackhaven Hall Historical Society. And, Mr. Mitchell? We need to talk.
Yeah! You can return to Blackhaven Hall in the year 1781 in Cassius. Coming soon. Available for wishlist. Now on Steam. Cliffhanger endings. Look at all the advisors here. Special thanks to the Xavier University of Louisiana, the University of Connecticut,